Welcome to the A2C podcast. We're your unfiltered ticket to the world behind high achievers of every kind. No ads here, it's just pure value. So do me a favor and share this if you find some inspiration, motivation, or something else in between. Authentic, no constraints, no limits. Let's go. How are you?
I'm good. We just got home from the cemetery and
Just for kicks and giggles or something significant?
my boyfriend's father passed last Saturday, and today was the funeral and the burial.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Thank you.
How's he doing?
He's doing okay despite losing. I don't think any of us are really prepared to lose a parent. I know I'm not. And he's doing rather well, it was him and his brother and their mom. And I think they're just trying to be strong for the mom.
Yeah. That's heavy.
I didn't want to reschedule again because we had to reschedule last time because you had something come up, and I was like, I don't really have another 3 hours next week or the following week, and then I go to Maui, and I was like, let's just talk.
Yeah, no, let's do it. And that's all this podcast is about. So we're already recording, we're already talking. And this is real raw podcast. This isn't tell me about your business.
Yeah.
We have so much opportunity to talk about that crap.
I did wear my earrings for you though.
Oh, you are sweet. Did you wear them for me or for your boyfriend? And
I wore for the boyfriend.
Okay, I was gonna say that's weird. No, how are you? Because sometimes supporting a loved one through their shit is pretty damn heavy.
We've had conversations past couple weeks. It's hard because they're on like an emotional roller coaster, and I was really riding his butt maybe about a month ago before his dad passed about spending more time with his dad because his dad had been sick. His dad had already had an amputation. I've been around seniors for a long time working on Social Security. Usually once an amputation happens, it's within 3 years, usually there's a passing. So it's just trying to hold the family together, and people are emotional. Every time somebody says something, we always wish we could have had another day. And I think a lot of times as people, we always put things off. Oh, I can do that tomorrow. I can do that next week. And sometimes we're not afforded that. So it's part of human nature is we come into the world and one day we must leave. And I don't think anybody's ever ready for anybody to leave, even the elderly. So it's just trying to be the support for everybody else. It's just part of life. I mean, he supported me through COVID 3 times in the last 2 years. So it's like it was really my turn to step up for him and his family.
I know several years back, my wife's father, her stepfather, but her father, he raised her as much as her biological dad did. And her biological dad is a good man. Danny's a really good dude.
Uh-huh.
But Gary was the one that was there when she was being raised primarily and whatnot. And Gary passed. And you've gotten to know me a little bit, Joanna. I'm so busy with business. Like it's 90% of my life. And a lot of people look down on that. And 90% of my waking hours are spent at work.
Right.
It's hard not to prioritize it in that regard, right?
Uh-huh.
And then you get off and we got to run over to the in-laws for dinner. We got to go do this. We got to go do that. And I always really liked Gary and I always really appreciated him. But there were times that it was like, do we really have to go do that? Or you guys go, I'm not going to go or whatever. And Gary passed. He wasn't old either. He was mid-50s.
Wow, it's young.
Had a massive, just random massive heart attack and passed. And for my wife, like I was the one, I went home. I got the call from actually her mother, and her mother was just hysterical, but she was like, hey, you got to get home. So and then she just hung up. And so I went home and came home. My wife is on the floor. My oldest boy, who was really close with his grandfather, was on the floor. And they're both just in tears. And I just sat down in the middle of the floor, right there in the middle of the room, and just scooped them up and just held him and was able to be strong in that moment. And I really held that together. It wasn't even, oh, I got to hold it together. It was just like, this is who I am. This is what I do. But where I lost it was at his graveside when they opened up the floor for anyone to want to come and share a memory at his graveside. And I lost it. That man was so good to my boys, Joanna. He was always a good father-in-law to me. He was phenomenal. He gave me some wisdoms that I still share to this day with other people. He was such a good father to my wife, but he was so good to my boys. And standing there in front of all those people that cared about him, and I broke down. I don't break down often, especially in public, because I'm a man and testosterone and shit, but I broke down, and it's making me emotional now just recalling it. He was so good to my boys, and everybody was so unready for his passing. He's such a good man that there's not a week that goes by to this day that myself, my wife, my boys don't talk about him, and with loving and fond memories. He's such a good man. So to your point, yeah, eventually the day you're born, we all start passing, right? We're on this journey, but none of us are ever ready for it. It doesn't matter what you tell yourself or how strong you are through however many moments. I think there's that one moment for most people where it hits you and it's like, I wasn't ready.
Yeah. I think it just, people process it very differently. And one of the things that I've learned in the last couple of years, especially since COVID, because COVID, I think, has really changed society, is to give people grace, because you never know what someone's going through. You never know what their mental state is and everything. And sometimes, like, I wanted him to clean up the house and pick up his shoes, and I'm just trying not to bark orders at him. Come on, we gotta go. I'm working here. Come on, I need you. And just trying to be understanding and give people time and grace. And I think that's what we all need.
God, you're getting heavy deep. Joanna, what the fuck? We were supposed to get on here and tell jokes. We were supposed
to gossip about everybody.
No, there's no pretenses. We can talk about anything. Have you had your breaking moment yet in this scenario with his father passing, right?
So I didn't really know his dad. I met Corey in the height of COVID, June 2020. It was like a whirlwind romance. He's like a roach. He never went home. And his dad was already sick, and no visitors were allowed. And so the first Thanksgiving and Christmas, nobody was visiting. Second Thanksgiving and Christmas, 2021, I think somebody had already gotten sick, and again, no visitors. I met him last Thanksgiving, and he was already sick. He was in his hospital bed right off the main dining room. And all he said to me was, hi. And he was, I don't know, probably a little drugged up and out of it. But like, I didn't have a relationship with him. So my support for Corey and Corey's daughter, Summer, she's only 10, is really just listening and being there and trying to support their mom. Well, his mom, I know a little bit more because she's been helping us with the business taxes and stuff like that. She has a background in taxes. So I've known her a little bit more. But today at the cemetery, he was a veteran, 21 years in the reserves, something like that, a couple years active. And I've never been to a military cemetery before. This is actually my first time at a cemetery since I was 16. Like, I've been lucky, Carson. Like, nobody's in my family. I have a very small family, 2 parents, 4 siblings, and some external people who raised my mom. But since I was 16, I haven't really had to go to a funeral. And anyways, today, the military cemetery was very nice. I was expecting to walk out in the pouring rain onto the grass and have the lowering and everything. And I was expecting, because that's when I was 16 up in the country, that's what happened, is when we called him Grandpa, he raised my mom, died, and he was lowered. That's when everybody lost it and crying. And that's when it hit home for most people. And I was preparing our 10-year-old on the way up there, because it was an hour drive out of the city to go to the cemetery. I was like, okay, what's going to happen is we're going to go over here, and then they're going to lower the casket into the ground. And usually grandma and daddy are going to probably get really upset and sad at the time. Just trying to prepare her emotions for it. And none of that happened. They had the casket and the folding of the flag all under a beautiful like pavilion with benches, seating, and everything. And it was very quick, very respectful. And then we went back to our car and it was done. And Summer, our 10-year-old, she was like, that was it. That's easy. She's like, what's going on now? And we just had to explain to her they're going to take the casket after the rain stops, and we didn't have to stay for that. So it was really different than what I expected. But it was actually like, to see a military funeral like that was really honorable, I felt. Yeah.
You know what you ought to do for a vacation? I think every American that's proud to be an American ought to do this. If you're not proud to be an American, then fuck you. But if you're proud to be an American, you should do a vacation, go to DC, and just spend a day out at Arlington.
That's a good idea.
Oh my God. It is. I have other places I've never been to Gettysburg. I'm a history buff. And
okay, so I have. My dad took us to Gettysburg. I don't know. It must have been
I would love to go. I've never been. But Arlington was probably, I actually went there with an insurance company, sold a bunch of insurance. Here you are, one of their top producers nationally and all this stuff. And so they put you up in some hotel and feed you a couple fancy dinners. The best part of that whole trip, we did a private catered dinner in the National Air Museum. We did a private catered dinner in the Library of Congress. The best part of that whole trip was when they were like, hey, if you want, you can get on this bus. It's going to go over to Arlington. We don't have anything else planned, but you can get on this bus, go over there and just spend the day there, and it'll bring you back.
Nice.
It was the best day of the whole trip. It was harrowing. It was humbling. And it was centering. You talk about military cemeteries, and it was a very humbling experience, frankly. I would recommend it. I think every American should go spend a day at Arlington.
Yeah, I'm actually ashamed that I haven't. I was in the service and everything, and we never went to DC for whatever reason. And there's a lot of
DC's a shithole at this point, but go to Arlington.
I'll go over there, but I've been wanting to go over there anyways because there's a lot of legislation coming down in my side of the industry where I wanted to go bend congressmen's ears and stuff and tell them to stop time and take my job away. Yeah, I should make it in 2024. Definitely. You're right.
It's a good one. In fact, like now that we're talking about, I'm going to say some shit and maybe it's some crazy stuff. My wife will be mad because she's our event planner. I want to set up like one of our events. Let's do an event out in Arlington. Like, I know we can't do it at the cemetery. That'd be
weird.
Freaking weird in the first place. But it could definitely be a major attraction of the entire event. I don't even care if you're not American. You could be Canadian. You could be, it doesn't matter. These are men and women that gave their lives for something they believed in more than anything else.
I had to correct myself. I was in Arlington a couple years ago, and we just never did that. I flew in to train a couple agents. I just remembered that, but it wasn't the time or place.
Yeah,
so, I had to go back.
That's fair. That's fair. So what else is going on, Joanna? What else is new? We just talked like a week ago, but like what else is new?
So industry-wise, I don't know how much you're keeping up with the Medicare and the ACA market, but Congress, I'm not sure who made the proposal. I have to read the documents. There's some proposals that Congress wants to eliminate FM levels or our positions and the marketing money that we receive from carriers and the administrative money we receive. A lot of the money that we receive from the carriers to help us cover the cost, they look at it as choosing one carrier over the other. If Humana gives me $1,000 to do a table or something, they're saying that we're not having the public's interest at heart when we're helping them select a plan. And that's not the case. Like, I have a carrier that gives me way more money and I often can't write them because it's not the situation. But that's on the legislation. And it's the hottest topic in the Medicare industry right now is what is going to come of this, because they've been trying to really regulate our position the last couple of years. We have a new 48-hour scope that came back after being gone for 5 years, and they so crazy about it. They're like, you have to get the scope 48 hours ahead unless it's a call in, and then you don't need the 48-hour window. And what is a call in? All these overseas call centers are now making everything a call in, with them calling out and then doing a lively transfer. And those are the people who hurt us to begin with. But when you have millions, I guess the laws don't apply to you, right? So yeah, there's a lot of talk in our industry about what to become of the FMO and administrative fees and the marketing co-ops and things like that.
Here's my question, because I get why they're trying to regulate it. Something needs to be regulated. With the offshore participation in an onshore market.
But that's not where they're going. They don't care anything about those people.
No, they don't. They don't. But here's my point. What if we're talking like straight empathy, the thing that takes the best care of people is empathy. It's give a damn.
Right.
How do you regulate give a damn? And that's what they're trying to do, is regulate give a damn. But I don't think there's a regulatory control that exists for give a damn. I don't think it exists.
And the thing is, the people who are regulating probably have never spent a day in our shoes at the lowest level.
No, they're lifetime fucking politicians. It's Nancy Pelosi's and Mitch McConnell's and these pieces of shit. They have never been in a service-based. They can sit here and be like, oh, I'm in public service. You're not in public service. Shut the fuck up. But at the end of the day, like, when it comes to a lot of the insurance industry, Medicare and health insurance are big. ACA is a really big example thereof. But most of insurance is run through the only way to do it appropriately is through empathy. It's also why so many AI companies have come out and fucking failed. They have fell flat on their face and or been sued out of existence because AI is not empathetic. They cannot program empathy at this point. But how do you regulate it?
So that's why we need to go to Congress. So and I'll email you the regulation that I came, but we all have the opportunity to write to our congressmen, our voices. And I told my agents, I still have to meet with them next week. It's not really about if the FMO is still going to exist, because I still write my personal production just like you do. I'm still going to be okay as Joanna, the writing agent. It's going to hurt the new agent if they lose training and all the things that we do for agents, because you have an IMO, you know what you do for your agents. I'm not just sitting over here collecting checks and sleeping all day. It's like we 18 hours a day busting our butts, answering phone calls, text messages, supporting the agents who need help. But if we tell Congress why the beneficiary needs us, why they need a Carson, why they need a Joanna, and how our beneficiaries are going to be affected, that's who they care about. They don't care about agents. I think that carriers, CMS, I don't think they really care about if agents need a job. I think that it's all about how beneficiaries need to be served. And
if you're going to take it to Washington, though, you got to change your language, because they don't care about beneficiaries. They care about constituents.
There you go.
It is different. It is fucking different. They care about constituents. How many people are left alive to vote for me?
Yes.
Not all politicians, but the majority. I will say that, the majority.
And I guess that's where a little bit of my mind might be. I might have rose-colored glasses in that extent, because when I worked at Social Security for the federal government, we tried to be very beneficiary focused. We never wanted to disadvantage the beneficiary, right? And most of the employees at the lowest levels, I was in a field level. I wasn't some high mighty person at all. I served the homeless person. I served the local celebrities here and everybody. But we tried to do what was right for the person in front of us, just like we would want done for our own family.
But who was legislating the boundaries you had to play between? Because that's not, your legislators are not in that same position. Right. They're not.
So how do you bring humanity to them? How do you get them to see what is actually going on? So actually I brought up
term limits. Number one, make them go back and live in that shit instead of having lifetime boundaries around it, exceptions around the rules. No, make them go live in it. You're a lot more likely to vote for things that are in people's favor if you're going to have to go and live in it a year from now or 2 years from now. I'm telling you, term limits solve a lot of problems.
I agree with that. When I was working at Social Security, I had some higher up shadowing me for a couple of hours. And he saw the pain that we were going through. And this is back before like direct deposit was mandated, when people were missing paper checks and stuff. And the hoops that we had to jump through, and the government has these debit cards. If you don't have a bank account, Social Security and VA use them. It's called Direct Express. And the hoops that Direct Express made me as a federal employee jump through to try to get someone's funds access to them. And they were just like, their mind was blown because they don't see what happens day to day. Like, I was like, this is a daily thing. I was like, daily. How do you guys not know about this? So I don't know how to get them to know about the things in the lower level, because a lot of them, like, where do you draw the line of what somebody needs to know about?
I think at the end of the day, how do you get them to pay attention? It's being a squeaky wheel, but not being a squeaky wheel in their ear, being a squeaky wheel in the ears of the people. Like, for the same energy, you can expend 100 points of energy blowing up that senator, or you can expend the same amount of energy blowing up their constituents. And that amount of energy spent getting 100 other people hyped, who will spend that amount of energy getting 100 more people hyped each, that's more likely to create movement than talking to your senator, your congressman, or anyone else in between. Because it's not that they don't care about people, but at the end of the day, look at where someone is bonus, look at where they're paid, and that's where their interest lies. If their job is to be a career politician, then your number one goal is to continue to be reelected. The squeaky wheel gets the motherfucking grease.
Yep.
If you're not a squeaky wheel, you don't get grease. Be a squeaky wheel.
Okay.
Or sleep in the bed that you made.
So 2 of the agents, they were asking me on one of the Facebook groups that I help in, how to get their client documents processed as Social Security faster, because apparently it's like a process to get these people's Social Security and Medicare turned on within 90 days. Usually it's supposed to be the same month. If you walk into my Social Security office back when I was working there almost 4.5 years ago, if you came in, we serviced you right there. Why send you away just to do the job? You're in front of me, right? But people are 65-year-olds are being sent away, telling them that they have an appointment for their Medicare in January, February, months and months away, when they need their Medicare tomorrow, December 1st. They don't need to wait. And so I told the 2 agents that if you guys want, I'll teach you how to write a congressional and get all of your clients to go to their congressman. So if you have 100 people, just like you said, in one territory, going to their congressman, telling them how they're being disadvantaged by this one Social Security office who's not processing their work, then you're right, that might spark some change.
You want to know how to make it even more powerful, though? Don't just teach 100 people how to do it, Joanna. Teach 100 people how to teach 100 people how to do it. So instead of just like coaching your one client, and you do that 100 times, coach your one client on how to coach their 100 friends.
I'm going to do a YouTube on this now.
That's some powerful shit, right? You want to create change, quit trying to make change, start teaching people how to make change. You're going to do the shit you're going to do anyways, and they're going to have to do it to teach people to do it. But you got to get them. Otherwise, it doesn't work. We're not in a democracy. We pledge allegiance to the flag, which is a democracy, and to the republic, right? For which it stands. We have 2 entities that run this country. And the republic doesn't give a flying fuck about the democracy if it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. The republic cares about what is in the republic's best interest. And what's in the republic's best interest is what continues to fund the republic. Constituents. I don't know.
Work it out.
Call me a conspiracy theorist, but
all right,
in all my infinite glory.
I think many people don't know how to use their channel, use their voice. A lot of us were taught it's somebody else's job. Somebody else will lead the change. But I think that if we don't, then who's going to hear what's actually going on?
Yeah, I'll tell you the two failures of politics, of democratic politics, but it's also, so this is interesting. This is the same failures of entrepreneurialism, the same failures of, the first failure is we think someone else is going to do it. There's so many people out there, somebody else has got to go ahead and do it. So I'm busy, I'm this, I'm that. Somebody else, like, I'm not, everyone I talk to feels the same way I do. They're going to go do it. I got to go do this other thing. But the problem is everybody feels that way. So it never gets done. So that's failure number one, right? Failure number two is vanity. Failure number two is, I feel so strongly about it, I'm going to go do it, even if I have to go do it alone. And so you go and do it, and here you are propping yourself up like some kind of fucking martyr instead of spending an equal amount of energy getting other people to come along with you, because the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And I'm telling you, one motherfucker, no matter how loud they are, is not a squeaky wheel.
You're right.
Like, we've talked ourselves in this country into one vote makes a difference. No, it doesn't. One person can make a difference. But one person makes a difference not by voting, not by showing up at the rally, by showing up at the rally or showing up at the voting booth with 100 other people who all showed up at the rally or the voting booth with 100 other people each. That's how one person makes a difference. But if you can't do that, then all your shit is wasted in vanity. I'm here to tell you that. It's wasted in fucking vanity.
You're 100% right. In 2023, we are in an influencer society. Somehow I became an influencer, and everything is done by influence in today's society. You're 100% right. Influencing others to get the result that you want, right?
And it's not manipulation. It's what it is, though, is the organization of like-minded thoughts, because everybody else out there is, hey, someone else will do it. But they need 100 other people like them to be like, hey, no one else is going to do it. We better go do it. Oh, and by the way, we better leave some breadcrumbs just in case we fail, so 100 other people can come behind us and do this. And if everybody does that, then it's exponential. Change has to be of an exponential nature. Otherwise, change always fails to occur.
I like that.
I believe that wholeheartedly. If it's not exponential, it will always fail. Here's the reality. We all want to believe most people are good people. And because of that, and I believe most people are good people, by the way. But we want to believe that because most people are good people, something like Washington, like our politics, is going to run a good direction, right? What kind of vote does it take to set a new precedent? Just a majority vote, 51 out of 100. What kind of vote does it take to overturn poor precedent or outdated precedent? 2/3, 66 out of 100.
Crazy.
The fact that most shit we go through is bullshit tells you that we couldn't get 66 sane-minded people out of 100 to vote for something that makes sense and is good and true. What the fuck does that tell you about our political system? It tells you, it tells you that we have too many people saying someone else will do it. No one else is going to do it. No one's coming to save us. It ain't happening. You can either be a person of influence or your vote is insignificant. And that sucks, but it's reality.
Yeah, I don't mind leading the change. I think I have the know-how to do it. If my voice does help, because what I don't want to see is I don't want to see the industry that I love collapse and the newer agents coming on after us not having the support that I have helped build. Because when I came on in 2016, 17, 18, there was not a whole lot of help. It was all these old schoolers saying, you just do the deal. You just go out and do it. But they wouldn't tell you how to do it, right? The how to do it was the whole big mystery. And now that we've changed the game where there's so much training, there's so many training programs like yours and stuff, I don't want to see those go away because agents need access to it. And I think that over-regulation would actually hurt the industry a whole lot. So
Do you think so? Like our organization, we deal primarily with like life insurance, annuities, financial services, not necessarily in the ACA or Medicare space, but we're entirely unthreatened in that regard because there's no incentive for production. Agents pay to be a part of this,
Yep.
whether they produce or not. Do you feel like that's going away as well?
No, it's really going to target the Medicare and the ACA agent because those products are subsidized by the government. And if it wasn't subsidized by the government, nobody would care. But because ACA is subsidized and Medicare is subsidized, that's why the politicians are like breathing down our neck saying, hey, did you get your scope of appointment? Did you get your CMS? I have to get for ACA, I have to get a CMS form filled out, consent to even help my client who called in. And then I had to get another form saying that they agree with the plan that I enrolled them in because of what's been going on this last year with bad agents stealing agents of records and never talking to the client. Have you seen this thing called the no-call leads is what they were calling it? They're basically saying, hey, Carson, you clicked on a Facebook ad giving me all permissions with your name and date of birth for me to become your agent of record and steal this other agent's work. And I'm going to change your plan and put you on whatever I want. And that's what was happening in the last year and a half. And so that's why a lot of the regulations come up. That's why the CMS regulations have come up. The FMO regulations for the Medicare, I think a couple of years ago when I was really newer, there wasn't a whole lot of money being passed down to the rookie agent, the agent making the money. It was really being held by the top people and doled out to whoever they felt, right? And now that I'm privy to this information, like I pass 100% of the money that gets earned back to the agent who earns it. If Humana gives me $1,000 for Tara gets $1,000. But like, again, there's the appearance that agents are cherry picking the carriers that they write with because of that support. And I understand appearance is everything, but many of us don't do that. Many of us don't write the carrier that's giving us the bonus. I mean, I've written carriers that give me a $25 commission for a GI business because the GI business was the right way to go. But the look of improprietary, I'm sure there's agents out there who are just writing captive agents, but like the agent, the carrier that gives them the most money. But most agents are not like that. But to see them going after the administrative fees above the regular street level and then thinking that the GAs and the MGAs and the FMOs are just getting fat off of doing nothing, I think that's not fair. Because my IMO provides amazing support. I'm not sure if you know about this software, but softwares like Sunfire and Connection are not cheap. And we only got this software since 2019, but it's become regular practice in the last couple of years because of the IMOs who are taking their administrative dollars and putting it on that the price tag of that to provide it to us. I can't afford Sunfire on my own.
But here's my question. How often, so like you're doing a great job with all your clients, how often do they write a letter into Congress or onto Google and they're like, oh my God.
Yeah, we're going to have to mobilize the troops.
Agents are amazing. Versus you have the people out there fucking motherfuckers and the people that have been freshly fucked are like, hey, I got fucked, right? The reality is this, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
All they hear about is the bad stuff. They don't hear about the good stuff.
How hard are you working? And this isn't like me picking on you, but like, how hard are you working to ensure that all the good stuff has positive, not just rapport, but report? Are you sending that in? And are you working for it? Because the bad shit, all the shit you're trying to fight against, it didn't have to work. It didn't have to work for it. In fact, all it had to do was not work. Yeah, all it had to do was be shitty. It got the publicity.
Yeah.
Maybe the fight you're fighting isn't your Congress member against XYZ. It's your Congress member just being able to see, hey, if I go look up Google reviews, what the fuck do I see? How hard are you working for that? And how hard is the average agent? And I know you well enough to know, like, you're investing in systems and processes, but the average American, like, if you want to continue to have quality service providers like Joanna and her team, y'all better step the fuck up because your silence is ruining your options for quality shit. Your silence is what's driven gas prices up. I'm just saying that. American taxpayer silence drives tax prices up, it drives taxes up, it drives
Mhm.
gas prices, it drives everything. It's good people doing goddamn nothing,
Uh-huh.
enjoying their good stuff silently.
I agree.
But as a professional, what are you doing to help those silent people come out of their shell just a little bit, just
Mhm.
enough so that they can continue to have good shit? Maybe that needs to become the new norm in the business. Is you don't just sell somebody some shit, you help make sure that person has an easy, productive path to making sure that their legislators know they have good shit.
Mhm.
It only takes a 2/3 vote, Joanna. It's 66 out of 100 to overturn anything. The fact that we move a direction tells me either people aren't doing work, they're not talking about it, or everything really is crap and it needs to be regulated.
I think that some regulation should be, and probably, I don't know who's going to be listening. I think that it's too easy entry into what we do. With AHIP, you can pass the course with no monitor, no proctor exam. It's 90 minutes, 2-hour time test. I can use Google, I can use Cliff Notes, I can call Carson for the answers. One IMO that I dislike a lot, and they know it, they passed out all the test bank. So all their agents got the test bank. Their agents didn't know what a PPO was. And these are the people who were going into my seniors' homes simply saying, oh, you're on an HMO, I'm going to put you on a PPO, and then I'm going to come back and flip you. Just messing with people's insurance, just flipping to get a sale. And those are the people, those are the agents we don't need in this industry, the flippers. We don't need the agents who don't care about their practice and who don't care about the senior, the consumer, who don't want to learn the industry and who don't want to learn their craft. I'm really big about learning my craft. I've spent 18 hours a day for the last 7 years learning my craft. And I think that to be a professional, that's necessary. I don't want to sit next to the guy who's standing over here going, hey, Carson, can you tell me what the PPO, you got the test answers, you got the test answers for Aetna, you got the test answers. If you can't pass the basics, you shouldn't be in this industry. But so many of the IMOs turn a blind eye. Carson, I have to take a certification for every carrier, every Medicare carrier I represent, Aetna, Humana. I represent over 30 nationally now because of my position, my agents. So every time I get an agent, they say, hey, Joanna, this new carrier came into Oregon. Hey, Joanna, this new carrier came into Orange County, California. Can you get them for me? I want to write them. I go take that test. I do the certification myself. I don't have my assistant do it. I'm not paying somebody else to do it. But you know what? I'm going to put out a dirty secret in this industry now. I've learned that there's people in my position and higher who have somebody else doing all their test work.
Yep.
So so in the military, if my commander isn't willing to get into the trenches and he's faking it and his certifications are fake, what do we expect? Shit rolls downhill. And so if the FMO leader doesn't know how to pass their own AHIP and certifications and doesn't know anything, then how do they expect the GAs and the MGAs and the street level agents to know anything? Shit rolls downhill. I was sitting at a dinner when this IMO leader was joking with me that somebody else passed his AHIP that day. And he like literally blatantly told me that someone gave him his test bank. And I'm sitting there, and I had just left the federal government. And so I'm really a by the book kind of girl. Military, federal government, I'm like by the book. And I'm like, my mouth just dropped open. I'm like, and then all of his agents that year and the next year was just popping into on my Facebook group and other Facebook groups asking the most basic questions because they didn't want to do the work. And we were talking about that in January. Do the damn work because it takes longer, Carson, to try to prevent doing the work than actually doing the work. If you have to read a book and give a presentation on a book, trying to not give a presentation on the book and trying to read all the cliff notes, you might as well have just read the book. I just don't understand. But
people are fucking lazy, Joanna, and they will work harder at being lazy than it would have taken to just not be a fucking piece of shit in the first place.
Yes.
I've learned this. So I'm on the life insurance financial services side, right? I'm here to tell you, I truly believe anyone that can't explain the difference between TAMRA, TEFRA, and DEFRA is a fucking piece of shit if they turn around and sell a cash value policy. Whole life, IUL, VUL, doesn't matter. You're a piece of shit. You don't even know it. You can't explain it. How the hell are you? But they are. And unfortunately, that's 90% of the business. The barrier of entry is too low. That said, I don't believe, so like the financial advisory side is all, hey, let's make it securities licensed. I don't think life insurance should be securities licensed.
No.
I don't think Medicare, I don't think ACA should be a securities registered product.
No.
I do believe there should be a higher barrier of entry than, I come from automotive, right? In automotive, you had technicians. I was born and raised in the business. You had technicians. I've got $150,000 worth of tools I paid for myself with my own paycheck, by the way. Like after I'd work an 18-hour day, I'd go to Snap-on school. I'd go to Matco school. I'd go to learn all these things. Nobody else did that. I did that.
All right.
But anybody that shows up at an auto shop with a 5-gallon fucking bucket from Home Depot full of some pawn shop tools, they get to call themselves a mechanic. And what am I? A mechanic. We're the same shit. The barrier of entry is too low. And that's one of the problems we have in the insurance space.
Yeah. And those agents are working for the people with the big money, the $1 million call centers who are buying these offshore leads. We know where the problem is coming from. It's the big call centers buying live lead transfers from Philippines, Pakistans. If the United States government would just ban phone calls coming in from Pakistan and overseas, that would eliminate all my grandma's problems. Because every senior, I can't answer the phone, 30 phone calls a day asking me what my Medicare is. I get them and I'm only 40 years old. But it's no longer extended car warranties, by the way. It's Medicare. If they would just regulate that and regulate where your leads come from, because like I have to prove where my leads come from. Why don't they? I have to show how I met Carson.
Because they're not selling the product. They're just opening a conversation, getting paid for it.
Yeah.
There is such a gray area that exists between, hey, you need to be licensed and have your certifications in place to sell the product, versus you can talk about it, and if they're interested, transfer them off and get paid to be a marketer for it.
All right.
Such a gray area.
But as a licensed agent, I'm not supposed to sell a product that was unsolicited differently. So let's say you're calling for FB and somebody says, oh, I want to talk to about my HMO plan. Like, I'm not supposed to take that as the lead because it was generated by an unsolicited contact.
It's whole separate phone call, whole separate, like you got to set up for, hey, let's have a specific conversation just about that. We're here to talk about this today.
No.
By the way, this is not an insurance podcast in any way, shape, or form, but for those listening, but for those listening, this is what your insurance agent is up against. You wonder why it's so fucked up? Welcome to the shit show.
Yeah. Oh, and gosh, my friends over in the home and auto industry are even worse. They can't even sell products. So it's like a dumpster fire now. I do love the insurance industry. It's afforded me a lot of freedoms that I never had before. I never imagined being self-employed until I came into the Medicare and the ACA industry. I didn't know it was possible to have a good lifestyle and make the kind of money I was making. I was only making $80,000 for the government, but for somebody from a small town in upstate New York, that's good money. Yeah. And now I can wake up when I feel like it, work when I feel like it, go to Maui when I feel like it's afforded a good lifestyle, but we do work our asses off.
Yeah, people don't realize that. And that's another failure of our industry, right? Is everybody's sold on time, freedom, money, freedom. Get in, all you have to do. No, listen, motherfucker. It's not all you have to do. It's, listen, if you don't do this, you are going to fail. There's a reason why 92% fell out in their first 24 months or something like that. This is a hard damn business. If you get an insurance license or a financial advisor license, you are probably going to fail. You're probably going to be a statistic. I'm just going to tell folks that now. Quit getting recruited. Like, quit blaming your recruiters. They're doing their job. You're the fucking moron that signed on. You're the moron that quit your good ass job to come and do this shit. 92% are going to fail, but here's why they're going to fail. It's because they got talked into all you have to do is. That statement, it was the biggest lie ever sold to the professional world. By the way, insurance and financial services, realtors can suck it and die. Like, I'm telling you, the numbers aren't there to support it. The fastest path to becoming a millionaire is financial services and insurance.
Oh,
Fastest path. Only
I believe it.
8%. Only 8% even make it 2 to 3 years. And of the 8% that make it 2 to 3 years, 10% of that ever make $1 million. So it's a fast path. Most people never hit it. And the number one failure of all of them is to do the work required to go there.
It's hard. I probably should have been one of those 92%. I think the only thing that saved me was I was persistent and didn't give up, because I was doing it originally for part-time after working on the weekends along with my day job. But I was recruited, and one of those 3-letter companies wanted me to quit my day job. I'm like, listen, I suck at sales. I don't know anything about sales. You haven't taught me how to sell 2 policies in a day. Why would I quit my job? I need my health insurance. And it was a long time coming. Like, it took me forever to quit my job. I probably shouldn't have quit it when I did, but I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And
I remember you in the early days. Do you remember the old hustle days, the old insurance hustle days?
yeah,
Talk to me about that, Joanna. We're not out to shit talk on people, but talk to me about the old insurance hustle days.
so
For those that know, they know.
I came around in 2000. I found Facebook groups in 2000, late 2017, early 2018 is when I came on the scene. And one of the first groups so Insurance Soup, my friends over there, they were like the mega insurance group, but it was really PNC and life people like you and me. I was a life girl at first. Like, we really couldn't talk or collaborate a whole lot or build a lot of camaraderie.
Or say anything without just a bunch of freaking bullshit from people that were insignificant.
And one of the very first groups that still exists today, Life Tips, Tricks, and Closers by Ryan Sardakias, who has passed, that was really one of my first stomping grounds. I was one of the first 100 agents in there and everything. And I was still a rookie. So I was transitioning I was still at Social Security. I was transitioning from my practice company that started me off at 55% commission instead of the 110% street, and made me buy $35 leads and restored them 5 weeks later. One of those companies. I was going to a different company, actually one of the companies that I don't care for anymore, to be like more independent. And as you get all these products and access to carriers that you didn't even know existed, you have questions, and how do I get trained, and what's a good product, and all these product questions. And this was before software existed. Like, now I can put in someone's height and weight and medications and diagnosis, and the insurance toolkits tells me what carriers might take that by some underwriting guides. But back then it was just like, hey, Carson, do you know who takes a diabetic with neuropathy and this and that? And hey, Carson, do you know who takes this? And a lot of us built friendships like that. Like, I think that's how I started building my friendships in the insurance industry, is sharing information that I had learned. And I have a pretty good memory. So if I saw you say something and someone asked the question, and next week I'd be like, oh yeah, Carson said that this worked last time. Try that. So I think that 2018, 2019 was like the rise of the insurance groups. I made my insurance ladies in 2018. I became the admin of my group now, Medicare Mentors, in 2018. And the groups have just flourished, and now they're communities all on their own. And some beautiful friendships have formed out of that. One of my friends, Steve Apodaca, he was one of my first Facebook friends, and I got to meet him in Las Vegas this past April and sit with him and his wife and everything. I was like, how we used to stay up late at night talking crap on Facebook Messenger. Like, we just developed friendships, because you know what? This
Steve's a good buddy of mine, by the way. Like,
is he?
I hung out with him in Vegas, and yeah, he's working with the phone sites now, Ryan Stuman phone sites, and I love Steve. Steve's such a good dude.
So one thing I think about why people fail in insurance is being a solopreneur is really hard. Nobody talks about the lonely island, because nobody teaches you what to do. Nobody teaches you how to do your taxes and how to do this and what to buy and how to track your mileage and how to do everything, or where to buy leads. And there's a million facets of this business, a million facets. And unless you see somebody else where they have an idea of how to market, how to do this. So the insurance industry really, I think, and I know that we're probably just a small percentage of it online. I think there's hundreds of thousands of agents who haven't discovered how amazing we are. But this little facet has really blossomed, and so many of us have cultivated friendships and businesses. Like, I've met my business partners on Facebook, in Facebook groups. One of the people I'm taking to Maui with me, him and his wife, I met in a Facebook group, and now they work with me. How amazing is that? And yeah, so the old groups on insurance forums and people, like, they were hiding behind screen names, and they would tell you everybody was bad. The Primericas were fighting with all the people were fighting. You never knew who was who. Now I think on Facebook, people know Carson Porter, Joanna Wycoff, Steve Apodaca, right? Like, you can't hide behind a screen name anymore. And you have to take responsibility for the words that come out of your mouth. Because I've seen agents say some things, and then their carriers are now holding them accountable for what they said. I've seen people lose appointments that way as well, right? It's honestly, one of my friends, who actually I helped build his business before I started Toplight, he said he referred to our groups as like a fake world. He's, oh yeah, on fake Facebook. I was like, Joe, we built our company off of Facebook. We built our relationship off of Facebook. Why would you say it's fake? Just because it's not tangible. Like, I'm not sitting in your living room doesn't mean that our friendship is any less real, right? Like, my text messages to you are the same.
Here's the shit. I started with a captive company and the CEO of Multiline. So I was a top producer. And by top producer, I don't mean like top 20. Number 1 or number 2 for 5 consecutive years, life insurance and annuities on a national level for a massive carrier. And the CEO of that division, CEO of Multiline, because they have an independent arm as well. I was at what's called a leadership summit. And we were in Lake Tahoe. We did some snowmobiling. We hung out. We did all sorts of shit. It was a great time. But we were there. I'm talking to the dude. And he's, man, like all this social media stuff you're starting to get into and all this crap. It's so fake. And who you are is fake. And would you just put on your damn shirt and tie and all this stuff? And I was like, here's the fucking thing, Shannon. The dude you are and the dude agents, like, literally cuck themselves. They cuck themselves. They're just little fucking bitches sitting in the corner in a leather chair beating dick watching everyone else have fun. They are cucks by every definition of the term. The ones that are kissing your ass. Here's the difference. The difference is that you think you're catering to who an insurance agent is. Once a year, they come out to your bullshit fucking seminar in Galveston, Texas, and they spend 6 hours a day in your meetings, right? And then 18 hours, for the next 18 hours, they're a different person. And then for the next 363 days, they're a different person. The person I'm talking to is the one who is there for 363 days. The person I'm talking to is the dude at the bar. It's that dude for 18 hours. The person you're addressing was the one that was there for 6 hours. I'm addressing who they are. You're addressing who they're trying to be to please you for some fucking reason. And you're making $250,000 a year. And here I am, some redneck, tattooed, potty mouth, fat white kid. And I've been making more than you have. And I've been in the business for less than a decade. At that point, I hadn't even been in, I think I'd been in like 5 years at that point. And that pissed him off so bad. But I didn't get fired. Couldn't fire me. I'm a top fucking producer. When I left that company, it created a shitstorm. They tried to sue me. They tried all sorts of shit. Like, it was a whole shitstorm. But the moral of the story being, all these top hat corporate bigwigs, like, most of them haven't ever sold a policy in their life. They don't know how to run a quote. They don't know how to do this. They don't know how to do that. They got a master's degree in this. They've been running in these companies all this time. And they think the person they're supposed to cater to is this vision of this person. Most agents are something and someone else 18 hours a day, 363 days a year. That's the person you and I are talking to. And on social media, that's the person that exists. And so, like, these folks can keep downplaying it, but I've seen a big personally, and I'd like to know your experience as well. In the last 12 months, I've seen this big, I won't call it a resurgence, maybe a surge in carrier level engagement on social media that is relevant. It's not some compliance department generated marketing piece. It's actual corporate CEOs, CFOs. It's the life trainers. It's the engaging on social media. I think they finally realized they're irrelevant. They always have been, and they always will be if they keep doing the same stupid bullshit they've been doing. But I'd like to know your thoughts.
Yeah, so I think that I would like to think that I had some part in that. So some social media groups would not let the suits in, and that's their right. Me, in what I deal with Medicare and ACA, sometimes the answer needs to come from your broker manager over at Humana, Aetna, whoever it is. Why not have them in the room and say, hey, so one of my friends, Eric Carney, he was at Humana for 15 years. Now he's at Devoted, one of the best broker managers in the freaking country. He would be in my Medicare mentors group, and whenever someone had a problem, I would tag him and he was fixed it, even if the agent wasn't anywhere near his territory. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I was not in his territory in Mobile, Alabama, but he took favor to us and he took favor to my group, and he was always willing to help. Last week, actually this past weekend, what's today, Tuesday? Saturday night, I'm trying to get one of my clients through Medicare underwriting for Humana MedSup. I text the vice president of Humana on Facebook, and he's more than happy to help me. Fred Roth, he's always on Facebook, willing to help the agent. I think it's a different mindset in the Medicare world than maybe the life insurance world, but they have shown a presence and they want to help. And the good marketers, vice presidents, CEOs, they are seeing that them showing up and supporting agents where they're at, meeting them where they're at on social media, is getting their product sold even more. And I'm happy to support it. Like I'm bringing the carriers all the time. I've had Craig from Allstate on, I've had NCD on, I've had a lot of these carriers on to support them, because the agents need to know who to call. And if I can just skip the customer service line and go straight to the VP, why not? I think it's becoming a big thing, especially we're seeing them now at a lot of these expos. I hope to see a couple of them. A couple of them have already reached out for me because they're going to be at your conference, saying, hey, we're going to see you in Scottsdale. So excited to see you.
They haven't hit me up yet. Tell them to pick up the phone and call me or something. Okay. If they want to do sponsorships, they got to lock it up. We're running out of sponsorships.
I will get some sponsorships for you.
If they want attendee seats, they better lock it up.
Okay.
We're about to run out. We just picked up a big group with an FMO, and I think we're going to give them a group rate.
Wow.
And we're talking about bringing 100 agents. That's 1/3 of the entire audience.
Okay. I'm excited.
Yeah, no.
I still have to see if I can. The person at the hotel never called me back. I tried to get the conference room or a conference room like the day before. No one ever called me back. I have to call them.
Hit up my wife. She might be able to get you a contact there.
Okay.
And again, maybe they're booked. So we are there the same weekend as Barrett Jackson, which is the biggest car auction on earth.
Okay.
And so we're competing for space.
Okay. It's fair enough. Fair enough. I was just thinking of trying to do something before the big event, but maybe they are booked and that's why they never call it back.
Yeah. No, there's some cool shit. 3-hour time block is just a long damn time.
You're the first person who's ever done that. And I was telling Corey before, I was like, who does 3 hours of Zoom?
Let me tell you why though. Because the first half an hour, it's always like about the same shit you'd say to anyone else.
Okay.
It's that next little bit, we get comfortable.
Okay, that's fair enough.
And if I'm going to introduce you to anybody, I want to introduce a version of you that isn't dressed up, it's not dolled up, it's not prepared, we're going to get into some hard questions.
Okay, hard questions it is.
All right, ready? Mm-hmm. Marry, fuck, kill. All right, so, no, I'm joking. You're like, how is this going to play on social media? It's not. We stick to YouTube. We stick to the podcast platforms.
You must with your potty mouth. I'm like, wait, we're allowed to say that?
Here's the damn thing. Like, everyone has consistently told me, stay away from the potty mouth. I'm not going to say I haven't had issues. There's been a time or two that the times I've had issues is when on social media I've made political comments. Beyond that, I can be like, I'm like George Carlin in the 90s. Shit, piss, cunt, butt, cocksucker, motherfucker, and tits. All right.
It doesn't bother me. I'm an ex-Air Force girl, flight line. I was the only girl in my unit for many years. Doesn't bother me. I had to tone my language down for corporate government, right? But I have been banned on Facebook 90-day stints for saying so normally on Facebook I'm writing, I'm not on video because I've been camera shy for a lot. That's one of my flaws, the camera shyness. But last year I wrote, I would kill my dad if he did that to me.
See, you got to be like, I would make him not exist on this planet anymore.
Yep. 30-day ban for saying a euphemism that we've said all of our lives. Like, I would kill you if you did that to me, Carson. And obviously I'm not coming to kill you, but anyways, 30-day ban. 30-day ban for repeating what I said.
Social media. Yeah, social media got so much more sensitive through COVID. I feel like it's starting to callous back up again a little bit. But through COVID, it was so sensitive. People didn't have anything else to do, though, besides sit at home, beat their freaking dicks, or freaking finger blast themselves, respectively, and submit complaints. It's a bunch of dick beating, finger blasting fucking pansies. That's a very good word. Submitting complaints. Cheeto eating, fucking stuffed crust ordering. Do I need to go on, Joanna? Like how far do I go with this?
The COVID that many people experience, I don't know if I experienced it. I've been working from home since August 31st, 2019.
But you experienced it. You got banned for saying some normal people shit. That was COVID. COVID was not some, and you've had it. You've contracted it. You've lived through it. And okay. COVID was not what they made it up to be medically. I'm not saying it didn't exist. I'm saying it's not necessarily what they made it out to be within some boundaries and some this and that and the other.
I think it was hard for many people. So I lost 2 of my agents in the first, 3 months. A 35-year-old healthy person just died. One of my friends, his wife had lupus. He was in the service with me. His wife died. So I think that affected a lot of people who had weakened immune systems. I thought I was going to die. I felt like I was going to die. I have long-term effects from COVID. I still have post-nasal drip that I have. I don't know if you've been seeing my cough drop habit.
I still have. So interesting shit. Like, I think COVID was a real thing. Interesting shit. In late 2019, I was still running my first agencies before I sold it. And we were kicking ass. We were kicking ass to the point where everybody was sending business our way. So I met up with a dude who was just starting a company in the US, and I don't even remember what they did. I want to say it was like a Radio Shack type company. Do you remember Radio Shack?
A dinosaur.
But it's that type of company in the US, and guess where this firm was based out of? Wuhan, China.
No.
I met up with this dude in late September, and I got sick mid-October 2019. I got so sick. And I'm telling you this, at the same time, you've probably heard of 75 Hard. It's a physical, Andy Frisella put it out there. My buddy Howie had challenged me to do it with him. It was my first time doing it. So we went through it. And so in the middle of winter, it's 0 degrees outside. I'd go outside and I would do a walk. I had a weighted vest on. And I, to this day, feel like the only reason my symptoms weren't worse is because of how active I was, how good I ate. So I did 75 Hard perfectly the first time through. I didn't need multiple tries. I did it perfectly. I ate perfect. That first time through, I did a keto diet, but not like dirty keto, like clean keto, like avocados. And so keto, my calories, my macros tracked every single day. And my wife will corroborate this story every day, like 0 degrees. I'm out there doing a walk. I had an 80-pound weighted vest. I still have the vest. And I feel like The only reason I came out as good as I did is because of all that. And a big part of it, actually, I feel like all that cold air did me good. I'd go for my walks late at night. I'd put the boys to bed and all the things with my wife. And it'd be like 9 o'clock. It's getting down like 20 degrees, 15 degrees. And I'd head out for 45 minutes or an hour. And I was in southern Utah at the time, big hills. Like in southern Utah, people don't realize southern Utah, especially where we lived, the neighborhood we were in an hour, I would change elevation 500 feet, like plus 500 feet, minus 500 feet, minus another 500, back 500, like 5, 6, 7 times in an hour walk.
Wow.
This is not like the Eastern US. It's different. But all that cold air, I would go out in the first 10, 15 minutes. I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was dying. But then all of a sudden, and I would tell my wife this, again, she'll corroborate it. I would literally tell her my lungs would just open up. They would open. And it was like, holy shit. And it was my favorite part of the whole day because it was the first time in that whole day that I could breathe throughout that, right? But to this day, so talking about still having things from that. When I ended that, I still, like my wife and I, we'd be getting jiggy with it because we're married people that are into each other. Let's not play coy. We're adults. She'd be like, hey, what you doing? I'd be like, what am I doing? More like, who, baby? But I had never, ever had respiratory issues. And through that and after that, I had a really hard wheeze. Like I couldn't breathe doing the deed. And I was like, okay, so let me go see a doctor. And I've got severe asthma at this point. I'd never, my whole life, never had to have an inhaler, nothing. And to this day, it's not as often now as it was a few years ago, but to this day, multiple points throughout the year, like if I start getting stuffy or little, like I have to hit the inhaler, I start taking, we do these vitamins that are good for the respiratory system. I have to do it. I've never, and no one else in my family, my siblings have ever had this issue. And I've got 6 siblings. Like, it's not like I'm an only child or anything like that. There's some experiments going on out there with my siblings, but I'm still the only one. I have respiratory issues to this day because of it. And I'm convinced it was COVID. Joanna, I might have even been the motherfucker that spread to everybody. I don't know. All I know is early September 2019.
You were one of the first.
I had a dude fly in. He flew into LAX, and then he flew from LAX to St. George, Utah, and I picked him up at the airport. We did a whole bunch of appointments about his business insurance, life insurance, all this stuff. And then he flew out that same day, and 2 weeks later, I was sick with the exact symptoms that the COVID was supposed to be.
You're responsible for the entire pandemic.
Yeah, it wasn't Trump, y'all. Ease up on him. Ease up on the dude. With me. Hate on me. No.
When you were talking about how clear you breathed in the cold air, that reminded me, I worked in Germany, Spangholm, Germany, for 2 years on the flight line in the Air Force. Worst job ever. Talk about being lied to by a recruiter. I don't recommend it. Anyways.
You're gonna be a superstar.
I could not wear nails back then. Anyways, I never got sick on the flight line because we were outside for 12 to 16 hours a day in 20 to 30 degree weather. And we breathed well. The rumors of, come inside, you're going to catch a chill, you're going to catch a cold. You don't catch a cold from being in the cold. I don't know where that superstition came from, but it's not.
The cold virus doesn't exist out in the cold.
Exactly. Somebody asked me today why the hospitals were so cold and why their Walmart store was so cold. I was like, because the cold prevents germs from spreading. Germs spread in warm weather, right? But yeah, the COVID symptoms, I still have the fatigue. I still have the post-nasal drip. I had a root canal last week. Oh my God. My root canal last week, I thought I was going to die. I was literally like, I had this dentist and her assistant in my mouth working on the tooth in the back. And I was full panic mode because of the post-nasal drip going down my throat. I thought I was going to choke on her water, blood, and post-nasal drip. And I have anxiety.
Joanna.
I'm having a full-on panic attack with a drill in my mouth. And she had to stop multiple times. And she's talking. She's like, breathe through your nose. So here's why I'm telling you this. She's like, breathe through your nose. I'm like, I'm trying. And you don't think I'm like trying to breathe because she had the nitrous oxide on. Like she got me a little gas, and I'm like, I'm trying, but like the post nasal drip, the long term effects, I couldn't breathe through my nose, and we don't think just sitting here thinking about how to breathe. Like that's not a normal. Okay, Joanna, let's breathe. That's not a normal thought. But I'm sitting here lying back, choking on air and all this stuff, and she's saying, "Breathe through your nose." I'm like, I'm trying. Like I was fighting for my life. Worst 2 hours of my life ever, by the way.
You just start running a Kevin Hart special in your mind. You're like, I'm breathing. Little 2 + 2, not knowing what the fuck it is, ass bitch.
I was
crawling down your back fat foot, ass bitch. I'm breathing.
I was trying to, and I have one more root canal to go, but thank God it's one of the front teeth, so she's gonna have to be all the way in my mouth. But oh my God, talk about worst. The root canal wasn't painful. It was just the most uncomfortable because I already have trismus. I already have the stuff going on with my throat and everything. And I was just like, these little things that we take for granted. We take the most. How old are you, Carson? About 35?
I'm old enough.
Okay. As you get older, your body starts creaking, right? So my body.
I blew my knee out a few years ago.
There we go.
2 years ago, actually.
The honesty comes.
Every time I take a step down a stair, that motherfucker creaks.
So you know that sometimes we get used to a new normal, right? And that has been really what's been happening for me since COVID. Like we started accepting things as our normal. Like the post-nasal drip and other things became normal. Like buying bags of cough drop has become my daily life instead of freaking learning how to freaking fix it. So I it's on my to-do list of freaking figure out how to fix it. But yeah, it's annoying and it's scary and give some people some grace. I don't know. The things that people go through, I was really having an anxiety attack on the dentist table last week. And I was like, man, I need to fix my life if I'm having anxiety attacks over.
I hate the dentist, Joanna.
Me too. They busted my jaw in 2006.
They make me so anxious. And so thank God I've never had to have a root canal. I have 2 teeth that they were like, listen, we think we ought a root canal. We can try and just do like a filling, but we think we ought a root canal. I was like, I don't pay you to fucking think. I pay you to be a technician. Do what you can. And if you can't do it, I'll pay you to root canal it afterwards.
Uh-huh.
Neither one of them have had to have a root canal. That was like 3 years ago, by the way. Yeah, like shit's holding. And it's not like I increased the frequency of brushing my teeth like twice a day, like floss and the wash and shit. That's all been the same. Just like, maybe you didn't need to root canal me in the first place, motherfucker.
So going back to the first place, I've gotten in the Air Force is gung-ho happy about pulling all the wisdom teeth in your mouth. They want to pull your wisdom teeth, even if the wisdom teeth are just minding their own business.
They don't want you wise. They want you obedient.
So they pulled 4 of my wisdom teeth at the same time, same day. I was knocked out and I woke up in the middle of it. And the dentist, the Air Force dentist, had busted my jaw. And so I actually have a little bit of disability from this jaw and not function. It affects my bedroom skills. Yes, it does. I know everyone's asking. It's just one thing I have to explain every time I start a new relationship is I suck at that thing. And
hey, will you? And you're like, well, I can't.
I can't. I'm a medical documentation.
For most men is the biggest red flag. Is that some bullshit? Is that some bullshit?
I get 20% disability for it. Anyways.
You're like, I'm getting paychecks for this. Of course it's real. I'm getting paid.
How embarrassing, though, to be a young female. They busted my jaw at 24 years old. They ruined my sex life. Hey,
my God. Joanna, see, this is what I mean. You get past an hour in and the shit comes out.
I need to ask for more disability. I even tell them Air Force that they ruined my sex life.
You got to at least get enough disability to still have some like profit margin afterwards, but you got to pay for someone to do that now.
Thankfully, it's not a huge issue in my current relationship. But gosh, if I fire him and have to explain to somebody new, it's training somebody new all over again. It's horrible. But yeah. So I
have so many comments. I'm just keeping them to myself, but I have so many comments.
The next time I do a dentist, I'm gonna find one with anesthesia. I just have to knock myself out. Sometimes you just gotta knock yourself out so you don't know what's going on.
Whiskey is good for that.
Okay. I'm not a drinker anymore. I stopped drinking after the military, really. I had too many. What's that drinking that's famous in Germany that's illegally? Absinthe? Is it absinthe?
Absinthe is here, isn't it? I've had plenty of absinthe.
I had some absinthe in Germany.
Absinthe is here, Everclear.
Okay. I almost didn't make it. Somebody had to carry me back to my dorm room.
Germany. The fuck are they drinking in Germany? Elk semen? Are there elk in Germany?
There are a lot of hard alcoholics over there.
Yeah, but like beer alcoholics over there. Which, by the way, is crazy that there's not more male Germans with breasts because beer is so estrogenic.
Really?
Beer is like the most estrogenic drink on earth. It's a straight up tit grower. Not to be crass, but let's call it a spade.
I didn't know that.
And yeah, there's not a whole lot of Germans that are like, that just have a whole bunch of tits. So it leads me to believe, although you might be more estrogenic as a male, maybe you need a hot dog to go along with it. And if all you have is a Frankfurt or a liverwurst or something, I don't fucking know. Tits can't grow in that environment on a man.
Maybe not. I don't know. So their meat, by the way, over there tastes way different than here because they're not allowed to put the chemicals in their livestock.
So
they're not allowed to have Mountain Dew over there.
Mountain Dew. So I lived in Canada for a few years, and for years Mountain Dew, it wasn't banned, but it was like zero caffeine. It was a whole different drink. I don't think it's that way anymore, but like Mountain Dew is a whole freaking thing.
Yeah.
It's a category in and of itself. The U.S., the FDA is bullshit. They're not out for our protection.
The things that we put into our bodies without realizing the consequences years later, and this is probably one of my last catalysts. Like this is my last, I gave up smoking. I gave up drinking. I used to smoke cigarettes. Not many people know that. I stopped smoking 3 years ago when I found out I was pregnant and lost a pregnancy. But the Diet Mountain Dew has become a thing. And the only reason I haven't given this up yet, Carson, going back to that postnasal drip, the diet soda is the only thing that actually fixes it because water doesn't, so I need to fix my postnasal COVID symptoms first. But we put so much shit into our bodies and we eat so much shit. That's why we're experiencing so many illnesses that people never experienced before. Like we're number 1 in cancer, aren't we? Like 1 in 2 people in the United States are getting cancer, but guess who's not getting cancer? People in Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam, they're not getting the same cancers that we're getting.
Nah, they have peanuts in their poop, but no cancer.
Peanuts in their poop?
Yeah.
What's that about?
Just like it is what it is. They put peanuts in everything.
Okay.
Every now and then you get one that's undigested.
Like corn?
Yeah, like corn. And this is also why rim jobs are less popular there, by the way. We're calling spades today, Joanna.
Yes.
You're like, please don't air this. The carriers will get rid of me. Joanna, I've been this way for years. They haven't gotten rid of me yet. You know why? Because I make them money.
I'm pretty sure my agents will. Yeah.
Yeah. Deep breaths. Goose fraba. In and out.
Right through
the
nose.
We good? Are we good?
We're good.
All right. Used to smoke. Were you more of a Virginia Slims kind of gal? Or like Marlboro 100s?
Newport 100s.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's a smoke. Newport 100s a smoke.
I don't know if it's true, but I think it's true that people who smoke Newports are usually in different ethnic cultures. I don't know.
Was that racism or was that
no? It's a stereotype.
Inclusion? You're just including everybody.
It's a stereotype. So I'm a white female. Most people know that my partner is not white; they're black, and it's a stereotype that white females that date black men smoke Newports, and I was the stereotype.
I haven't heard that before, but now I know.
Now
I know. Yeah,
but I've never. A
I was
menthol.
never a big smoker. I love a good cigar. Like, I love a good cigar, but it's very rare. Just a few times a year when I'm out traveling for business or something like that, because my wife hates the smell. So if I smoke them, I don't just have to smoke. I got to like wrap that shit in a garbage bag and everything when I bring it home and wash it 3 times before I don't hide it from her. She knows, she just hates the smell. But I was never a big cigarette smoker. But I will tell you, one of my favorite smells on earth is just standing down the way, like 10, 15 feet, whatever, and catching whiff of a good Marlboro 100, a good Marlboro Red.
That's not what I was expecting you to say.
Oh, yeah. Oh, daddy, with an IE. God, that is one of my favorite smells on earth. Is just like this crisp night air and the smell of a Marlboro 100 just rolling off from the distance. And oh, shit. I don't know what it is. It's good. I'm not a big smoker. I've never had this thing that's let me smoke cigarettes. I don't even smoke weed. Weed fucks with me. I will like
weed messes with me.
I swore off weed for forever. I'm done. I will never. I'm done.
I own a CBD company and I don't smoke. I do my gummies that are CBD and THC9, but I don't smoke, and I have to leave that to my partner. But I tried weed for the first time. I was probably out of the government maybe about 2 days when one of my friends said, "Hey, now that you're not a Fed, come on over." And I just took one puff on, it wasn't a joint. It was like a glass pipe or something. I don't know.
Was it meth?
No, it was definitely weed.
I was like, it was a glass pipe. Let's get very clear here.
No, it was definitely weed. But I felt like as soon as I smoked it, time was speeding up and slowing down. And I was just like, thank God I was with my friend who I trust a whole lot, because I was like, damn, it's a good thing I never did this any other time, because I wouldn't have trusted the people I was with. Yeah. I was like, how long has it been? It's only been 5 minutes, Joanna. But I was like, I felt like 2 hours, 3 hours. And I tried it again with my boyfriend, who does smoke a whole lot of stuff, weed. That's all he smokes is weed and CBD. And same effect. And he had to put me to bed. And I was like, yeah, let's not do that again. Because it felt like a weird feeling. So I don't like to drink because I don't like to feel the hungover. I don't like the side effects of it. And I was like, if I'm having fun, I like to know when I'm having fun. So I don't mind when you have a couple glasses of wine, you're feeling loosey-goosey. That's okay. But I don't like being drunk where I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And so I like to feel like the loosey-goosey. And that's why I like my CBD gummies, because you get the euphoric, and then that's it. I don't feel crazy, and I remember what I said.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm bipolar, and as bipolar experience, like a lot of medications, it's not just weed or anything. It's a lot of things that, it's supposed to be for this, and I experience something totally different. Even things as simple as like acetaminophen or acetaminophen, Tylenol. Like I can have a very adverse or different, not bad effect, but different. And that's how weed has been for me. Like, I've never had a good high, ever. The last time I did it, I was in Vegas. It was before I moved to Vegas. I had actually been there speaking to an insurance group with some of the biggest names on our panel, speaking in January, by the way.
Oh, wow.
And we were all out partying, and afterwards, and I had a couple hits. And man, I was down the rabbit hole. I had 2 hits. I wasn't down the rabbit hole for an hour or 2 or 10. It was for like 4 days.
Wow.
And that's always been weed for me. Like, I'm down the rabbit hole for days off of a hit or 2. And everyone's, it wasn't the right strain. It wasn't this. It wasn't that. Listen, you hippie motherfucker. Shut the fuck up. Eat my shit and die.
Right.
Listen, I'm going to stick to whiskey. I know whiskey. I like whiskey. And they're like, but the calories. I'm like, fucking calories. You're going to smoke that joint and then eat a pizza. Shut the fuck up, you little bitch. I just can't do it. Plus, it smells awful, makes me want to throw up, and it tastes awful. It tastes like I imagine a goblin's dick might taste. And I don't want that. What am I, Lord of the Rings? I'm not.
But I do love the smell of good CBD. I don't know what weed really smells. It's not in my house, but I have a lot of CBD at my house. And I love the smell of fresh nuggets.
I don't know what it is. And what I think it is, I've come down to this. It's not like that shit's bad or my shit's bad or whatever. It's just different chemical compounds in people. Like the way I'm built chemically, I'm not like, you know how animals will go around the wilderness and they'll sniff things out and it's, oh no, that doesn't smell good. But another animal will come up and eat it, right? So like it's that way. Like for me, chemically, like it smells bad to me. It like very displeasing because I shouldn't have it. And yeah, I've got some chemical bullshit going on with some of my mental stuff, but maybe my body knows that. And that's why you're smelling that. And yeah, you know what? You shouldn't have that. You shouldn't. Other people should, but you, my good sir, should not.
Because it might push you over, right?
It's always over. It doesn't matter how small the dosage is. Like I even did the CBD. Like I can get freaking off the rocks and down the rabbit hole on a Utah rated CBD freaking cream, putting it on my knee because I blew the damn thing out.
What?
All of a sudden, it's the stupidest thing. People are like, there's no THC in it. And then maybe it's not the THC, but it's something, and I'm down the rabbit hole.
Chemicals. So I fully believe that certain things in us that we go through are based on chemical reactions. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia after getting hit in the chest. And the fibromyalgia really is like nerve sensitivity and stuff. But I cured it when I was doing that clean eating thing. Like I used to be really into cooking all my own food, no salt, no sugar, no chemicals. Like you couldn't give me a diet soda for a good 8 years.
No salt? Like not even a pink Himalayan or a sea salt or something?
Because I am salt sensitive. So even some sprinkles of salt, I would blow up, like retain water like crazy. But when I noticed when I was following my strict regimen, I felt so good. But the moment I started eating this takeout, I started feeling like trash. And I was like, so my non-scientific theory, like fibromyalgia, it's like an illness that scientists haven't really been able to pinpoint. I was like, it's really just a chemical reaction, the body's chemical reaction to saying, hey, I don't feel good because you're putting junk in me. And that's probably the same for you when you're reacting to, weed and CBD like that is, hey, I don't like this stuff. Your receptors are like, ain't gonna do it. Give me some whiskey.
That's how it is. So many other people like, oh man, hard liquor, especially whiskey is so bad for me. And I'm like, yeah, not for me. Like, and like, obviously whiskey, it's a poison, bad for your liver. Don't drink. Everybody don't drink.
Don't drink.
But get to that like bliss state and just the volume's been turned down enough I can actually think. Weed doesn't do that. Weed makes me so shitty. Weed, CBD, all of it. I can't think. I just want to die. I want to perish. Jesus, take the wheel. Jesus, take the wheel.
Does it increase the volume? Because when I have a gummy, and I don't have gummies anymore, I might have a gummy every 6 months because I get too much good sleep on it. Like I'll go to sleep for 8 hours, 10 hours, and I can't do that right now. But when I have a gummy, especially at like midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, I want to stay up and write books. Like I have so many thoughts in my head where it doesn't quiet down. Is that maybe why it bothers you? Because it's too much going on?
So I run at a pretty high state of too much going on most of the time.
Yeah.
It definitely, the volume goes up, but it's not in a way that like I could sit down and write a book and it's also not paranoia. I'm not paranoid. It's just everything is so loud for days and not just hours, days that it's exhausting. Like I come out of it and I'm exhausted. I'm just exhausted. And again, my wife will corroborate this. Like it is days. It is literal days. Like I can't drive a car for days because I'll be driving and I'll go so far down the rabbit hole. Like it'll get so loud. I can't focus on anything else. I just disappear for 2-3 hours at a time. And then I'll come back out of it. And then 30 minutes later, I go back in for days.
Did you diagnose yourself with bipolar or is that official?
Yeah, that's a clinical diagnosis.
How did you find that out? Was it while you were doing insurance or was it before?
No, it was well before. It was when I was, what you call it, young adult, late teen, young adult, 18, 19.
I was wondering
How it started. You want the real truth? Not a lot of people have heard this story. I'll tell the truth.
Yeah, I want the real truth.
I'm not fucking scared of it. I woke up in a hotel room in Salt Lake City, Utah. I had no idea how I got there. No idea how I got there. But one of my good friends was laying on the floor bleeding and whatever. I was like, oh my God, he might be dead. So I called the police. Whole thing comes out. I'm getting charged. I already had an active plea of abeyance. Somehow it violated my plea of abeyance, but I got it stacked on. But it was like, just woke up in this weird place, and it wasn't like blackout drunk or any of these things. We'd been drinking all this stuff, but what I got, the result of that whole experience, like there was drinking, there was drugs, there was painkillers, all this stuff. What it resulted in was some court mandated AA, and then I had to see a counselor and some different things. That counselor referred me to a clinical psychologist, who's the one that made the first initial diagnosis and then was later diagnosed by two separate psychologists and psychiatrists over the next several years. But it was just, hey, yeah, you're doing dumb shit. You're making a lot of dumb decisions, the substance abuse and everything at the time. Oh, and by the way, it's not helped by the fact that you have this chemical imbalance called bipolar disorder, BPD type 2. And so we went through that. And so then I went through a bunch of medications for years, which have created all sorts of other health issues, including some health issues I went through this year with cancer. We'll see if we join the class action on that or not. But got off the medications. God, that was a little over a decade ago. Wow. And started focusing on more, sounds crunchy granola, but call it self-work programs and a lot of self-awareness and work. Like you go to work during the day and, oh, I worked a 10-hour day. Great. I worked a 10-hour day and then I came home and worked 10 hours on myself. Like I worked 5 hours before just to make sure I could go work a 10-hour day and then 5 hours after to make sure I could do it tomorrow. It was a really difficult time, but through most of my late 20s, early to late 20s, it was a really difficult time. But yeah, it's just been this whole ride. But a lot of what it's taught me is I respond differently to a lot of things. Painkillers, for example, don't kill pain for me at all. Imitrex kills pain. Imitrex, for example, is a muscle relaxant. Mm-hmm. I don't have there's no muscle relaxant experience for me coming out of that, but it does kill the pain. Like it'll help with a headache or it'll help with, but it doesn't relax me. It'll help with a headache. And I could take a dosage of Imitrex and because I have a headache or a migraine and then go to the gym and work out or it's different. It's different. I don't know. It's been weird. There's been a lot of bad come out of it, but as much bad has come out of it, I would say a good amount of the really good things in my life have come from that too.
I'm really proud of you because when I worked at Social Security, I saw so many young people coming in, not able to function and hold down jobs because of a diagnosis like that. And it's hard to learn how to, when you have something that affects your mental state, it's hard to be an employee. It's hard to even be self-employed, and you've risen above it. So I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I've risen above it. Like a bigger statement, Joanna, would be I feel like I choose to rise above it. It's an everyday decision. Like you wake up in the morning and the first initial, I feel like tearing it all down, but I choose to build it all up. And I feel like a big part of that, honestly. So I did this interview. This was like a couple years ago, actually. But I did this interview for a big magazine, but we talked about some of this stuff. And this is one of the things they talked about. And they were like, why is it a little bit different for you? And I don't think it is different. I think what I choose to do with it is different because you're still faced with a decision. Like my mental illness, some mental illnesses remove your ability to make cognizant decisions. Mine doesn't. Maybe I'm a dumb motherfucker. I'm probably a smart motherfucker. Look at my track record. And my mental illness does not decrease my intelligence at all. In fact, my intelligence probably exacerbates or has the potential to exacerbate because I can overthink it so much further. But when I was in middle school, one of my best friends was in 7th grade. One of my best friends, kid by the name of Lucas, such a good kid. I just gone through this period where in elementary school, I felt like I'd finally had friends, and then I felt like they betrayed me, and just I was hating life and all these things. And then I made some new friends coming into elementary school. And this kid hadn't even been a friend of mine for 8 months, but he was already one of my best friends, Lucas. And he lived in this town across this gorge. I was in southern Utah, and a lot of folks don't realize some stuff about southern Utah, but like southern Utah, we have mountains, we have canyons. Well, we're 100 miles off of the Grand Canyon. So half of what feeds the Grand Canyon is the canyons in southern Utah. Where like you can cross a bridge in between towns and it's 1,000, 1,500 foot drop. Just crossing the bridge in between towns, like sheer cliffs.
Wow.
Things on postcards, right? Lucas, we were in 7th grade and there was a lot around. I'll spare you the long story, but he decided he didn't want to live anymore. And he did that about 5 minutes after we'd been hanging out on a Friday. You know, we went to Taco Bell for lunch, and he had a bad report card and was worried about what his dad was going to think and all these things. And my old man's auto repair shop was right on the edge of this canyon. And then where he lived, you'd walk across the bridge and into the next town over, and that's where he lived. And he chose to jump off that bridge. And I remember my mother, it was one of the most compassionate times I ever remember from her. And she's an amazing woman, but she raised 7 kids and was raised in hard times. And so she's also a hardened woman in some ways. One of the most compassionate times in her life was her coming into my room that morning and just saying, hey, you don't need to get up. You don't need to do chores. You don't need to do anything else. Lucas decided to take his life. Take the time you need. Let me know if you need me. And she shut my door. And I really appreciated that response from her. That was the response I needed from her personally. But I struggled with that. And over the next several years, a lot of it probably because of my own mental struggles, I struggled with taking that final solution for myself to the point where I nearly did. To the point where I was already swallowing a barrel. All I had to do was flinch. And
I've been suicidal before.
Things were bad. But the thing that stopped me was remembering Lucas, and not just Lucas, but remembering sitting at his funeral, everyone else around. We did his funeral at the middle school, and it was closed casket. They couldn't open it because a 1,000-foot fall does something to a body. And so I don't know. I feel like through a lot of those times and through all those things, and there's as fucked up as a person can get, like some people get so bad, Joanna, that yeah, they no longer are making their own decisions. They're not in the driver's seat anymore. And that was never me, and I'm grateful for it. But for always having been in the driver's seat, no matter how bad it got, the thing that was always there for me was always, what about everybody that's left?
Very good.
And
I think that's a reality check that many people don't think about when they're about to do something that's going to hurt themselves. They don't think about their parents who are left, their siblings who are left. I had one of my friends, her son at 18 years old took his own life about 5 years ago. And watching her and her family just try to cope has been painful. And I think that if he knew what his family would go through, he wouldn't have made that decision that day.
It's hard. It's amazing, though, that it sounds morbid. I haven't figured out how to talk about it yet. But I'm grateful for Lucas. I'm sure a lot of the other people are grateful for the people they've known. I'm not grateful that he did what he did. but I'm grateful for the perspective that it gave me.
Sure. You learned at a young age how valuable life was.
So fast forward to all this other shit we've been talking about, and it's the decision to not be productive was never there. It's like the DARE program. If you were ever a part of DARE growing up, you got to say no before the situation ever comes up. But yeah, the decision to be productive was made a long time ago. Like, I don't ever have to ask myself, am I going to make the productive decision today, or am I going to be a bitch? Right? I made that decision a long time ago. So now the only question is, what do I do to be productive? So I don't know if that makes any sense, but
it does. I think that a lot of people who haven't figured out how to do the work that you have yet, because I think that a lot of people just don't know how to. They don't realize their options. I have a little sister who's going through something similar. She combats a couple of different things. She's 26. She has a bipolar diagnosis, but she also has probably autism. And so with her, it's very, like, we swing one way. Like, it's very, you don't know what Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde you're going to get.
Yeah, you have a social and an emotional impairment on top of everything.
But with her, she uses the I am bipolar, don't mess with me kind of thing. I never knew that you had that going on in your life because you don't use it as an excuse to be an asshole. You know what I'm saying? She uses it. My little sister uses it to bully me. Like she like beats me up and says, not my fault. I'm bipolar. You knew that. And I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you because you've learned how to do the work on yourself and to choose happiness and productivity every day and your family.
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. Before we jumped on this podcast, I was sitting out here talking with some of the people in the office, and we were just blowing off some steam. It's the holiday week, and it was like, let's take a couple hours and just relax and talk. And we're talking about not necessarily mental illness or anything, but choosing happiness. And that's not how I would describe my life per se, but it's more finding a peace in the chaos and almost being so okay with it, being so okay with the peace and the chaos that, and wanting other people to be so damn happy and productive and profitable, and that I'll take on your unhappiness too. Because if I can handle mine, I can handle yours. So let me just take that from you if I can, however that looks. And I don't know, it's been a weird conversation. It's been a weird damn day. How did we arrive at this topic?
I don't know. 1 minute we're talking about how I can't open my mouth.
But no, I think there's a lot of people struggling with a lot of things. I can't say that everybody that struggles with it beyond their capacity to be productive is using it as an excuse, but I think I'm just going to call it a spade. This is going to catch me some hate. I think most people use it as an excuse. I'm bipolar. I'm depressed, schizophrenic. You want to know where all my most productive times have been, Joanna? Like with my struggles, they weren't in the psychologist's office. They weren't in the psychiatrist's office. They weren't talking to a counselor. They weren't on medication. They weren't at the gym. They could have been at the gym.
Okay.
I don't know. If I had to generally define my most productive moments where I did the best thinking that's gotten me to where I am and continues to get me where I'm going, which is even more impressive. All my best medicine has been the thought processes I've had while I've been in the current action of performing productive things. So maybe it was at the gym, but it probably wasn't. Look at me. I'm a pizza eating motherfucker. For me, a lot of it is work related. It's business related. But there's a lot of other things, whether it's community service or helping these people, or I see that dude's going to be lonely for Thanksgiving. Let me invite him over, whatever. It's when I'm doing the most productive things, and then I'm doing it. Maybe I'm at work and I'm working. Maybe I'm at the gym and I'm lifting, or maybe I invited more people over than I should have. And now I'm stressed out, but my headphones are in My wife knows what's up. My boys know what's up. They're doing their thing. My headphones are in and I'm just cooking because I cook 90% of the meals in our home. So I'm doing mashed potatoes and sweet potatoes and green bean casserole and all the turkey and all the things. And I'm just in my zone. And those thoughts that I have in those moments, that's where all the most productive things in my life have come from. And so I don't run from work anymore. I look for it because that's where the most clear and peaceful moments I've ever had. Like in those busiest moments when I should be busy. Here's the thing about most bipolar people, not all, some bipolar people are like, I'm not going to say too far gone, but like they're dealing with it worse than I am. But most folks are where I'm at or less. And the most productive thoughts I have, like most things come easy to me, frankly. Like cooking comes easy. All you got to do is make that shit taste good. As long as it doesn't taste like a goddamn dookie, like we're winning. So like it doesn't take a lot of mental. I spend so much mental energy wanting to live. Cooking's easy. Like I'm not going to say raising kids is easy, but there's so many things that are easy.
Yeah.
I don't have to be totally in that moment. So the thought process I get to have while I'm doing those things, because they're frankly fucking easy. Those are the most productive moments. It's when I'm quiet and doing nothing. That's when everything gets to me. And that's when it's too much. That's when I don't know if I can go on. The moment I get busy doing something productive.
I think it's a trauma response. So I have a lot of childhood trauma and I haven't done a whole lot of work on it, but I recognize my trauma. And from what I know, when I'm not doing anything is when I'm in my grief and in my sorrow and my woe is me and I don't want to get out of bed. I was miscarrying my second pregnancy, and the way I got through it was diving headfirst into, I was doing a search and rescue for a veteran that was missing, organizing all of that and the charitable donations, and we were doing all this fundraising and stuff, but focusing on something else other than what was going on in my body that was painful and the psychological was really therapeutic. And so now whenever I'm going through something hard physically or personally, like whenever I'm going through something in my relationship, whatever, you'll probably see me like dive in head first into something to help somebody else, project or something else, because that's something that we can control, whereas we can't really control the other crap, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Trauma response, I think.
So let's get into some real shit here.
Okay.
What do you think the most significant moment in your entire life has been?
I don't really know, because I've been through a lot of shit. There's been defining moments. Like, had I not got hit in the chest, my life wouldn't be anywhere like it is now. There's been some really bad moments, like I've been assaulted, and that changed the trajectory of my life too. And then there's been proud moments. I think a lot of it goes back to our childhood. I was telling you earlier today how I was getting on Corey about not being around his dad a whole lot the last couple months. And I had the opportunity to take my dad on a cruise last year. I took him to an Alaskan cruise. And I didn't have a good relationship with my dad growing up. My dad was not a nice guy growing up. We were children seen and not heard. I was afraid to speak growing up. If I didn't come home with A's, I would get paddled. I was a bright kid. I was taking care of my younger siblings. So I'm in the middle of 5. You talk about being 7. I was in the middle of 5. So you know what it's like to take care of your younger siblings, right? I was a mom at 10 years old taking care of my little sisters. I think that when I realized, I don't know when it went off, I might have been like 30 years old, when I realized that I didn't have to live my life to please somebody else. And what is grandma going to think? What is dad going to think? What is mom going to think? I think it took me like 30 years for that to like just click. 'Cause my 43-year-old attorney sister still goes, what is dad going to think? What is mom going to think? I was like, Melissa, nobody pays my bills. I've been on my own since I was 15. I moved out of my dad's house at 15 because he punched me. And I was like, I ain't gonna do this anymore. I was going through a lot of trauma with other stuff. And I think when you realize that, fuck what everybody else thinks. Like even if they do pay your own bills, fuck what anybody else thinks. I think as a society, we're so consumed with what is people on Facebook going to think? What are these people going to think? What are my relatives going to think? I was watching a show before we started. It's an old show, the Bridgertons, and it's all about society like the 1800s and gossiping and everything. And I was like, this is so funny because it still goes on today, just in a higher level area. And I was like, it took me so long to finally say, you know what? I don't care what Carson thinks or somebody else thinks. It's just, I have to live my life on my terms. And somebody was talking shit about me on Facebook the other day because of my Zoom background. I was like, I like my Zoom background because I'm on Zoom 8 hours a day. And it reminds me of one of my goals and where I like to be. I like to be at the ocean, right? I'm going to Maui in 3 weeks. I work hard to play hard to go to ocean. One day I want to live somewhere like this. And that's what I'm working towards, is to build up my renewals so I can just live off of my retirement and chill. But when you close out all the noise, Carson, and just listen to what you want, I think that's when the work gets done. But I think there's so many things that happen in someone's life that is like a domino effect. And that's what happened to mine. And I'm sure it happened in yours, all the things. Had I never gotten hit in the chest, I would never have gone to Mountain Home, Idaho. Had I not been in Mountain Home, Idaho as the only girl in my unit, I probably would never have met my ex-husband, who was an illegal French immigrant. And had I never met him, I would never have ended up in Atlanta. I would never have ended up at Social Security. It's a domino effect. But I think there's changing points in our life. And one of the ones is realizing when I was sitting there looking at my dad, because like everything I was doing in my teenage years and my early 20s was to prove to my dad that I was worthy of his love. Because my dad didn't really give any emotion growing up. Because he didn't know how. I didn't know this at the time, but my dad didn't know how to give emotion because his parents never gave him emotion. You don't realize this until many years later, where my dad never told me he loved me growing up. He was always there. My dad was there. He took us on, he spent money on trips to take us someplace when we were broke, but there was very few, hey, let me teach you how to do something or play ball with you kind of thing. And taking my dad on a trip and spending time with him and realizing who he was as a person. And he did the work at 70 years old. And I like my dad now at 70. He's not so grumpy anymore. But a lot of what we do in our early adulthood, I think, is trying to prove to people that we're worthy. And I don't have to prove it anymore. I saw my dad have my picture of me in the Air Force on his desk, and I was like, I don't know.
I don't know. What are all those about?
I think a lot of kids are trying to prove themselves to their parents, their grandparents, their peers. Instead, and by proving themselves to them, it validates themselves to themselves. Like, I think a lot of us need external validation to feel self-validated. Does that make sense? Yeah. And I think even in the insurance space, we hear all the noise, right? All the people banging their chest and praising somebody or whatever. And sometimes it does feel good to be validated. One of my friends started a thread in my group about how great I was. It was nice to see the people who appreciated me, giving them free Social Security advice and stuff. And it felt a little bit of validation that my work wasn't in vain. But yeah, I think that we look at somebody else's saying, Carson must have a nice life. And they don't realize that Carson's gone through a lot of shit. I was looking at one of my skinny friends. And I was like, it must be nice to be able to eat a pizza and not gain 100 pounds. But that person's gone through a lot of shit. We just different shit, right? I don't know. We go through a lot of shit.
And I'm like, must be nice for me to eat a fucking pizza and gain 5 pounds and it's 1% of body weight or 2% of body weight versus somebody else, 120-pound bitch eats a pizza and it's 40% of body weight. I wake up tomorrow and I'm like, I'll drink some extra water today, go on a walk. And they wake up tomorrow and they're like, God damn, I need a whole new life.
Yep.
I don't know. So what's next for you, Joanna? Like, What's your big, scary thing you're working on? What scares you? That's a good question.
I'm going to tell you, not having control. I'm a control freak. I have a lot of traumas. I decided my lease here is up in April. I decided I don't really want to live in Georgia anymore. I've been here for 16 years. Getting uncomfortable. I think I'm going to pack up everything and put it in storage or wherever. And I think I'm going to get a passport and go to Mexico or Costa Rica and just travel and write business on the road and mentor my agents like I do now on Zoom and text message and have Wi-Fi will travel. I think that's what I want to do next year. I'm tired of being, so like the last 3 years I've been sitting here staring at these two monitors 18 hours a day, just busting my butt. And it hasn't really made me happy. Like I've created a lot of stuff, but it hasn't made me happy because I'm not able to go and do. Like you can have money, but money doesn't build the happiness unless you can use that money for experiences. And I want the experience of living the life I want. And a lot of it goes to life. I have chronic chest pains every morning. I wake up in the morning and I have to have my Tempur-Pedic bed lift my chest up so I can even sit up. And it usually takes me about an hour to even be able to sit up and walk around and everything. And it's 6 degrees here some mornings, 30 degrees. It's cold. Whereas San Diego, Puerto Plata, like those places sound like 75 degrees year round nice. So I'm thinking that next year you're going to see me with a lot of suitcases and I'm just going to travel and hopefully continue to build my business. Hopefully, I think I'm going to pivot. I think that I've enjoyed training the agents that I have, but I don't think I want to do so much anymore of that because I enjoy focusing on the higher producers, not the ones who just do one piece of business a year and have to reteach them everything.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Like you go through life and you burn out on a thing a little bit. So you try a new thing and then you realize, you know what? I don't love this thing. I love the thing I burned out on. I only burned out on it because I didn't have enough boundaries in it.
So lack of boundaries has been a big thing in my life. And I thought it was good for a while. And then it ended up not being so good. Like today, I told everybody, hey, I have to go to a funeral in the cemetery. Put all your questions in this group chat. I have most of my agents trained to use the group chat. And some agents who write one app a year couldn't do that. They wanted to text me and ask me questions when I have a VP and managers in place to answer those. Like you couldn't give me 1 hour, 2 hours to have a family gathering. It's
always the motherfuckers doing the least that want the most.
Exactly. And I just got burnt out of it. I truly did. And the ones who are doing the most want to do more. Like I have one agent, I'm sending him to Cabo, Steve Pomerantz. He was like, Joanna, did you get paid on my banner business? I want to make sure you got paid on this carrier that I started writing. And I appreciate that. But some agents, they take all your time and do nothing. Ask you the most hypothetical questions ever. And you're like, is this tied to an app or
business
something?
They're never going to write.
And so burnout is real in this industry. I know why a lot of people don't make it. A lot of people probably blame us, their mentors, for their failures. But if I have to teach you how to do the most basic things and tell you how to Google things, like, how about you Google that before you text me at 10 o'clock at night? It's just, so I think I have a couple things coming on the fire. We've been talking about building things, and now I have to get over the talking about and just do it kind of thing. Everybody's been begging for a Social Security course. I think we're going to finally sit down and do it in January. People have been begging for different types of, I need to do my YouTube, a lot of things, a lot of projects. And I think I'm just going to finally get over my fear of doing it and do it.
What's the most significant you have or significant thing you have coming up outside of work in your life, other than travel?
That's my life. My life is work and travel, Carson. I'm really boring. And I was thinking about this early today. My entire identity is probably 99.9% tied to my business.
What do you have to say to the people that are like, oh, that's pathetic. Oh, you should have more to your life that you're doing and like kids and this and that. What do you have to say to those people?
I would have loved to have kids, 3 miscarriages, and it didn't happen. I'm a stepmom to a 10-year-old who I support. She's spoiled rotten. I try to be the best influence I can on her when she's with us. She might be here for another month. We don't know if we're going to get custody of her the rest of the school year. She's been here for 2 weeks and I get to braid her hair and everything every night. Most people don't know that. They don't see the things that go on at home. Not everybody's blessed with the same family dynamics and the picture perfect that you want. So if not my business, then what do you expect me to do? I have a master's degree in project management. You know what happened, Carson? After I finished my master's, this is before I got into insurance, I would get home from work at about 5:30 at night, 6 o'clock at night, and have nothing to do other than sit there and watch TV. And then on the weekends, after I sold my house and didn't have any more housework to do, I didn't have a lawn to mow. What do I do? So that's why I had so much time to do for the business, because I had all this free time. I don't have any kids or a husband. Well, I have Corey, but he does all the cooking, by the way. But I didn't have anything to demand that time. Most Americans waste that time watching TV and playing PlayStation. I don't enjoy watching TV. I watch plenty of Law and Order and stuff, but I don't like to sit here and watch TV. So I would rather sit here and be productive doing something to do something, even if it's not building my business. So a lot of people don't know that I'm actually an admin of the world's largest Facebook group for veterans, 740,000 veterans. And I spend a lot of my time throughout the day, week, over there helping veterans get their Social Security benefits, their veteran benefits. But yeah, if it's not for my business, it's for a hobby that I don't get paid on. I consider my Facebook groups a hobby. I don't get paid on them. Nobody pays me to answer the millions of questions and technical expertise. So that's a hobby. It's not my business yet. Hopefully one day I can monetize it correctly. And then travel. I love to travel. It's part of my, I don't know, it's where I feel at peace, something to do. I'm trying to work on after AP. I need to work on this certification so I can actually book my own travel and get commission on it. Turn my travel into a business, right? But why not turn something that you are good at into profit? I think a lot of Americans just sit around wasting their potential. And I have a hard time sitting still. Even when I'm sitting there watching TV, I'm usually still doing something, researching something.
I think of a lot of Americans, a lot of just people. You don't have to be American. Would sit there and look at someone like you, an amazing person, by the way.
Thank you.
And be like, oh, well, the family hasn't been the focus and this and that. I'm better than you and blah, 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 because I've had kids. But then, like you say, like you've got a beautiful wife or an amazing husband and some beautiful children and all these things. And you go to work, you work your 9 to 5, and then you show up at home and you do fucking nothing. You turn on the TV, you turn on the TV, you do fucking nothing with it. And that's not all of everybody. But there's so many that do. But it's so funny because those are the first ones to try and call you out. Hey, you're not doing more in this area or that area. I'm not sure what the right word is. It's not hypocrisy. It's just,
so many people work to get away from their life. I can't wait for the weekend. I used to say that myself. I can't wait for the weekend. Why? Because on the weekend, I could sit there and do nothing. I used to say that when I worked at Social Security. I can't wait for the weekend because the weekend came and you had nothing to do. Now I don't have to wait for the weekend. The weekend can be Wednesday and I could do nothing. I could do whatever I want. I could literally blow off everything and go do whatever they want tomorrow. I can jump on a plane and go to Utah tomorrow if I wanted to. The biggest realization I had in life was an employer does not own me. I own my time and I give it to somebody else for a price. So somebody asked me to interview and I was like, it's in the middle of open enrollment. My rate is $600 an hour. because that's how much I would make selling a Medicare policy. And I said, that's fine. But time is money. Time's not free. We talked about this in the very beginning. Time is not free. People might not have a value to their time, but it's not free. They could do many things with their time. But I'm well accomplished. I had my master's done well into, I don't know, it's like 2014. So I was 34 when I finished my master's. I worked all day, went to school all night, and did my master's. I didn't do my master's because somebody else paid for it. I had my education done. Would I love to do a PhD? Yes. I would love to do a PhD. Do I have the capacity to do a PhD? No. Maybe in a couple of years after I'm sitting on the beach retired, I'll write my PhD, but that's PhD's 3-4 years of schooling and like $200,000. I don't have that. So until I marry somebody with free education, I made a post on this the other day about people were arguing about how to spend Thanksgiving week. Are you closing early Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? And everybody likes to be the big shot. Some people like to say, I'm working all weekend because that's when people are home and I'm doing this, right? Carson, your situation is different than my situation. You have young kids. I don't need to make a turkey. My stepdaughter who's 10 won't even eat turkey. I'm lucky if I get her to eat chicken. Her diet is chicken nuggets, pancakes. She's the pickiest eater. She's not going to eat a turkey. She's not going to eat stuffing. She's not going to eat collard greens. She's not going to eat any of that. And she doesn't even want to go out for dinner. And she doesn't want to go Black Friday shopping. So our Thanksgiving is going to be quiet. I'm going to make some steak and lobster, whatever. And I'm going to sit here and work on one of the projects I just told you about. And
Burger King will get you 10 chicken nuggets for $1.49 from what I hear.
And we do Burger King all the time because Burger King, she loves their fries. And their sandwiches. But yeah, life is different. Our life is different than yours, different than my parents, different than my sisters, because we're at different places in our life. My little sister, she has a 4-year-old. Her life is different than mine. I don't have a 4-year-old.
Yeah, we're not just at different places in life, Joanna. We're living different fucking lives.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with yours, and I don't think there's anything wrong with mine.
No, just different.
Yeah.
So do what you want to make you happy. Like when people say, oh, that's boring, all you do is work. And so many people have said that to me. I was like, what's not so boring? Being able to not be at work at least once a month. Usually outside of open enrollment, I'm gone once a month somewhere. I'm going to be with you in Scottsdale, Arizona for a freaking week in January. I'm going on a cruise right after I leave you. I'm going on a cruise from California. 3 weeks later, I'm going on a cruise from Galveston, Texas. In May, I have another conference I'm speaking at. I'm going to go somewhere else. I was like, I love that life. Right? Sucks to be me.
Yeah. People just, I don't know. There's a life that we get in, and frankly, sometimes, at least for me, I can't speak for you, but for me, I undervalue what I get. Like, my wife is, hey, I forgot to tell you, but tomorrow, one of the boys, they have a Veterans Day assembly. And he mentioned to me before I put him to bed, you got home late last night, but he mentioned to me that all he wanted was for you to be there. And it's, fuck it, I will be there. I wish I would have known sooner, but I don't care what I have to move. I will be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I can do that. And that's a powerful thing, but that doesn't come with owning an LLC. That comes with showing the fuck up day in and day out, months and years at a time, to where rescheduling that thing I need to reschedule, that probably cost me $2,500. But guess what? I'm good without that $2,500.
Mm-hmm.
And being there for my boys' Veterans Day assembly, watching him sing the Armed Forces medley and honoring our veterans and our heroes, that meant more to me than that fucking $2,500. But that's my decision. That's something people don't get. That's entrepreneurialism. Entrepreneurialism is being able to make that decision.
Deciding what is valuable for your time, whether personal value or monetary value. A lot of people don't know the difference. Some things have a personal value, some things have a monetary value. Like taking today off to be at the funeral in the cemetery. Can't put a price tag on that, right? but I didn't have to ask any boss to do it. Like, I used to have to, if I wanted 15 minutes off, I had to ask and beg for permission.
Unless you're smoking some Newports, and then you can just go outside the back door by the swamp cooler, light one up, and you get 15 minutes an hour or something like that.
No, so Social Security, our property, so I didn't smoke at work. I had a rule. I did not smoke at work. I smoked in the Air Force. So actually, I got that habit in the Air Force because the only people who got breaks were the smokers. Thank you very much. But
fucking Air Force. God
Social
damn.
Security property was a smoke-free property. So now it didn't work over there. But when I quit my job, I was sick. And I said, no other adult will ever tell me if I'm sick enough to be able to stay home and take care of my health. And I had gotten sick at work. I had bronchitis and strep throat. And I was like, you want me to sit next to you and give it? Like, I got it from serving the public, and now you want me to spread it? I was like, eh. But it's been the biggest blessing. You've had COVID, getting COVID and not having to say, hey, boss, I'm sick. Oh, when are you going to be back? I don't know. I had COVID for a month and a half the first 2 times, right? Like, it's been a real blessing being able to own my own time and decide what is valuable for my time that day.
Yeah, COVID was a thing. So like we had a whole, when COVID hit, we had a whole like brick and mortar, people were used to coming in and out and, and all the whole 9 yards. We're actually starting to get back to that. Not solely that, where we went from that to COVID hit, we went totally virtual, and we're now starting to reestablish brick and mortar, but we're doing both. But when COVID hit, and like when I got COVID in the whole 9 yards, it was like, hey, some shit's happening. None of us know what it is. Tell y'all what, I spent some money on some good computers and good stuff and whatever. Nobody's losing money. Nobody gets salary cuts. Nobody gets commission cuts, nothing. Take your computers home. Do what y'all know what you need to do.
Yeah.
Let's get this train rolling and let's go. I'll hang a sign on the door that just tells people, hey, shit's going on. We're not here. Door's locked. If you need us, here's the phone number to call us. And we literally just kept trucking. I showed up at the office. That story I shared with you, an hour ago. I showed up at the office every damn day. My team didn't.
All right.
I was at the office. Door was locked. It was just me. I was in my back office, had the conference room, front room, side offices, break room, everything. It was all to myself. But I was there because I like to exist in a space that's separate from home when I work. But we just kept trucking. But that was, to your point, my decision. I had the control and I had the freedom to do it because I built the thing around it. We didn't have to be there locally. And we had a couple customers like, oh, I want to bring in my check. And fuck you, Daryl. You goddamn fucking redneck. Shut the fuck up. What you want is insurance. You don't want to drop off your check. You want insurance. Shut up.
You don't drop off your check to Nissan or VW when you're paying your car note.
Instead of dropping it off, how about you just throw it in an envelope, put it in the fucking mailbox? It's that easy. It's that easy. Stop your bitching. But we had 5 of those people out of thousands of clients. Right. And we lost a couple clients, but we're talking like 2 or 3 out of thousands. And frankly, the 2 or 3, it was like, Joanna, we were seriously insuring like a scooter and a renter's policy. Like between your scooter and your renter's policy, you're paying $800 a year. I'm literally making $80 a year on this. It's not worth the bullshit. I can't even take my family out to Applebee's for that at this point.
People don't realize the commission you don't make on some product. And I don't think I could do PNC. I don't think so. Because I was reading a couple of the girls who work with photographers who want a new certificate of existence or something every week for every new photography location. And I was like, I can't do that. They said, yeah, we make less than $100 a year on this person. I was like, no, can't do it. Not a good business decision, right?
Yeah.
What is changing you to get back into the brick and mortar? Are people now wanting to see your eyeballs?
No. For me, I want to see people's eyeballs. I'm lonely.
Okay.
We're still doing virtual. The money, for me, it's in virtual. I can do retirement planning for somebody that's in Oklahoma, and on 3 Zoom calls, I'm managing $1.5 million, and away we go.
Wow.
I'm not lonely. I've got a great life. I have a great wife. I have friends. I miss being able to spoil my team. I miss it so damn bad. I try so hard to spoil my virtual team. We have a whole virtual team and we send them all sorts of shit. We send them an ammo can full of pocket knives and beef jerky for your birthday and a pinata full of candy and your favorite energy drinks and whatever. But I miss being able to be like, hey, it's Friday. We've done our deeds. We've worked our shit. We've made our calls. Fuck this shit. Let's head over to the local La Tienda or let's over to the local Mexican joint or whatever. And I'm going to buy drinks, chips and salsa. I'm going to get some taquitos and let's hang out. I miss being able to tangibly improve a person's life on a daily basis. And virtual has been amazing, but I can't do virtually what I can do physically. And I miss that.
I feel the same way, especially when it comes to soft skills, where the conversations I used to have at lunch and stuff with my mentor. Before Social Security, I worked at an HVAC school. Most people are shocked when I tell them that. But one of my mentors there, he was the school director. He would come and eat lunch in my office while I was doing a paper on my lunch break because we got a whole hour. What was it going to do with an hour? I was done with my lunch in 10 minutes. And he would read through my paper and give me feedback on those conversations you have that are not work related, you get to learn about somebody as a person, right? You don't get to have all those virtually on a Zoom.
When even like the work related stuff. So when did I bring him on? I think it was July. Hired a dude on. He moved up from Colorado to Idaho to come be my personal assistant. Literally left his insurance agency in the whole 9 yards. And I felt so guilty for it, but I promise you, this is an opportunity I've been praying for and whatever. This dude also happens to be the first dude who I professionally coached for a fee as an insurance agent.
Wow.
We started that in like 2018 or something like that. And insurance, like running an agency, it wasn't in the cards for him. That's just not him, and that's okay. He's made more progress in the last 90 days or 3 or 4 months of being here in my office with me as far as like sales skills, strategy, like just all these things. And it's holy shit. Like I have a whole nother level of things to give that I was discounting myself for. But man, think about there's so many local people that it's not about the one family I can help by providing a good income to because they can exist in proximity. And this sounds like come be around me and feel my presence. No, but I'm good at what I do. I'm really good at it. And so good at it that, I can give so much virtually that I'm making hundreds of thousands of dollars per year in revenue by giving it virtually. We're not in the millions yet with our mastermind. We just launched it 2 years ago. We'll get there. But we're hundreds of thousands. But what I can give physically that I didn't even realize I was giving, it's just being here listening to, like when I grab the random ass phone call and I'm on it, but you're there listening, it's a whole nother fucking level. I can't give that through Zoom or on a planned training or something, right? And man, if there was 5, 10, 15 families here in my area where not only can I give them a good income, they can go have a better Christmas or whatever. But where the fuck are they going to spend that money, Joanna? They're going to spend it at the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, and everyone else in between. If I can help one family,
you help many,
have a better outcome, I can help 30, 50, 100. My goal has never been sell a bunch of shit. My goal has always been, since the day I started as an entrepreneur before insurance and financial services. This is going clear back to 2010, opening up my first auto repair shop. The goal has always been, how do I help 100 families make $100,000 a year or more? And that goal is expanded now. How do I help 1,000 families make that? And how do I help 100 families make $1 million a year or more? My vision's expanded. I don't have to give them the money. They don't have to work for me. What if I help somebody who works for me make a bunch of money so they can go spend a bunch of money at the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. And now they all have an opportunity at a 6-figure income and more, right? And that's something I've missed. I've missed going into this holiday season. We always used to do charitable things. Now, we did one, my favorite one we ever did. We've done canned food drives and all sorts of things. We haven't done them. 2019 is when I went totally virtual, when I got sick, right? We haven't done one since then. My favorite one we ever did was Christmas of 2018. We did one called the Angel Tree. And we did that in lieu of the canned food drive stuff that we normally did with like our local care and share type of organizations. The Angel Tree was cool. They literally had families from around our community where they found out it was the age and gender of the kid and a few ideas about what the kid wanted. And I think we had 25 of those. We set up a Christmas tree in the foyer of our office and whatever. And our clients could come in. We put it out there and we're like, hey, help us with this. Our clients could come in, grab that. And their idea was just to go Christmas shopping for that kid. They'd go Christmas shopping. They would even wrap the presents, the whole 9 yards, bring them in, and we'd save them. And like a couple days before Christmas, the folks that were organizing it came and gathered them up and then delivered them to those families. We only had 25 kids. We had hundreds of presents. That was my favorite one of all time. And I fucking miss that. I miss it. I had some really good Christmases as a kid. I had Christmases where I got an orange and a pair of church socks. And not everybody believes in Christmas. Everybody believes in giving.
Oh.
And I miss being able to give more. And virtual, like spending 4 years in virtual, I can tell you this, virtual has suppressed my ability to give. That's why we've been looking at doing brick and mortar again, and we're working on it again because I want to give, and I want to give something tangible. I don't know who those kids were to this day. I don't fucking know. I don't know who their parents were. I know that there was 25 families in our community, and that's not a lot. It's just 25 families in our community, 25 moms and 25 dads who were probably knocking on the door of despair, wondering, do we buy groceries or do we give our kid on Christmas? And they didn't have to make that decision because we helped them out. And I've needed help in my past. I'm sure there's times I'm going to need help in the future. That's why brick and mortar. So what about you?
Many people have taken shots at me for this. Because of my illness, I don't think that I can do a brick and mortar. Many people don't know, but I have an undiagnosed illness that keeps me attached to my bathroom. I was in the hospital earlier this July, vomiting profusely for an entire week, and the other stuff is happening. Anyways, I'm on a new medication, Monjaro.
Mind me asking why it's undiagnosed?
Yes, I don't mind you asking, but I'm going to tell you. It's undiagnosed because I suck at taking my own shit by the horns. I'm too busy meddling in everybody else's life to do my own shit. Because so I'm a veteran and I don't have a spouse. The ring. Corey hasn't put a ring on it yet.
Corey, get on this shit. If you like it, you better put a ring on it.
So I'm a veteran and I rely on the VA for my healthcare. And many people think that the VA healthcare is amazing and it's not. Like
TRICARE?
I don't have TRICARE. So TRICARE, you have to retire after 20 years. I did have TRICARE because I was on temporary retirement for a couple years when I got medically retired. I was temporarily medically retired. Okay. The moment I went back and got a job and went back to college and they did my medical review at 18 months, they said, hey, you're working. Hey, you're in college. You're no longer disabled. Poof. There goes my TRICARE. I don't have TRICARE. I have just VA. I can go to the VA hospital and they treat me for anything, if it's a toe itch or choking. And anyways, I was in the hospital in July 25th, I want to say, for 3 days. And today is November 20th. So 4 months later, and I have not had my colonoscopy. I have not had a GI appointment. I've been waiting 4 months for a GI appointment. So what's going to have to happen, Carson, because the VA here is worthless, is I'm going to sign myself up for a marketplace plan. Now, here's the bad part. Even if I qualified for a marketplace subsidy, I can't get one because I'm a veteran. And that's another thing I'm going to protest Congress for, because I think it's bullshit, right? I think it's bullshit. I can say that on your show.
Shitty titty is what we call it on here.
I'm probably going to have to pay $700 for a gold plan with a $0 deductible to go see my own specialist in the community, my own civilian specialist, and get my own test done and see what kind of diagnosis we can come up with. It's probably, I've had like IBS for years, but it's just become, ever since I had my gallbladder removed in 2018, I've had problems where I can't even, like, all right, so we had the funeral at 9:30 this morning. I had to be at my mother-in-law's house. I couldn't eat breakfast. I couldn't have a cup of coffee. I couldn't have anything until we were home. Otherwise, I would have been in the bathroom the entire time. And so when something happens, like I have to leave the house, that means I can't eat and I can't drink. So when I fly to Hawaii, that's a 14-hour flight, like with a layover and everything. I can't eat or drink the entire time. Otherwise, you might see something on YouTube. But it's reality where you don't know what someone's going through. And anyway, life, I've been dealing with this for so long, it's become like a normal to me. Now I am on a new medication, Mounjaro. I'm on the bootleg version. I'm on a compound, not the actual brand name. But I was on Ozempic, and Ozempic was controlling it because it slows down the gastric emptying. And the Mounjaro is supposed to do the same. I just started taking my new shot last Wednesday. I'm waiting for that to catch up. Hopefully it helps. But that medication I'm on the bootleg version, which is $500 a month.
It's like if this is too much, just tell me, just be like, shut the fuck up, Carson. Is this like Crohn's or?
I don't know. Nobody's diagnosed. I think it's, so probably hypersensitive to dietary. It could be allergic reactions. I think I could even have a dairy reaction. I don't know.
Have you looked into doing like clean, hardcore keto or carnivore?
So keto got me nowhere. I did try to do clean keto. It got me nowhere. I didn't, huh?
How long?
Maybe a couple months. I didn't even lose a pound. I am insulin resistant, which is why I'm trying the Mounjaro, because I'm actually trying to lose weight. I gained 150 pounds in the last 10 years. Here came 20 pounds, 8.5. So I'm really trying to selfishly do it for my weight loss. But at the same time, like, you can't lose weight if you have other things going on. And anyway, I'm just going to take January and I'm just going to focus on myself. The last 4 years, I've been taking care of everybody else. Let's just be honest. I've been taking care of everybody else, and I've neglected myself. I've neglected my health, and I need to focus on myself. And so I'm not ashamed to say, hey, I'm not taking on any new projects, because I have a master's in project management. I'm a professional project taker on it, and it's become exhausting taking care of everything and everybody else but yourself. So yeah, hopefully I have some answers and I can finally leave my house. But yeah, I can't do a brick and mortar because, first of all, the chest pains in the morning, for me to get down to sit at my desk downstairs by 9 o'clock is quite the feat, let alone being able to drive a car and go to an office. Like when I had to go to Social Security, which was a half hour away from my house, I had to leave here by 8 o'clock in the morning and go through traffic. And a lot of times I was still having chest pain and I couldn't drive. Dangerous for me, it's dangerous for the other people on the road, right?
No. That's some shit though, right? You can tackle that, but you got to tackle that. You got to start prioritizing you.
Yeah.
I want to see you around for a lot longer.
Thank you. So the chest pains
are start prioritizing you.
Yeah, the chest pains though are just inflammation. It's not my heart. My heart is fine.
But it isn't normal. Like that shit shouldn't be. Like I can understand. Like alarm goes off. It's fuck you, alarm. God damn it. And then you get up, and then for 20 or 30 minutes, you're sipping some water and having your morning constitution. Does God exist? I don't know. Yes, he does. Fuck you. But you're up and you're like doing shit, right? But like what you're dealing with, that's not, I'm not normal. So
this is really not normal.
It's not normal.
I understand that.
I want to see you around for a long time. What do we got to do to make sure you're around for a long time?
So that's why quality of life, 2024 is all about quality of life. Like we were talking about earlier, what I'm trying to focus on, I think the anxiety and the pressure of being in the spotlight has put a toll on me. I think I'm going to go hide.
You need me to pull you off the stage?
On any given day, 100 agents are in my mailbox asking for help, and they're not mine. I have my own babies. It gets very exhausting when you're sitting here for 18 hours texting, and you still have your own work to do. You still have your own clients to do.
Why are you talking to somebody else's fucking child? In the normal world, we call that pedophilia. Why have you taken that burden on yourself?
I don't know. When I've not responded, people have attacked me for not responding and not helping.
I've heard some of those people, they've come to me. I've had a couple people be like, you're having Joanna on stage? Like, she didn't answer me when I messaged her. Bitch, I didn't fucking answer you when you messaged me. Shut the fuck up. That's a whole nother conversation you and I ought to have. We're almost out of time here today.
We're out of time.
Conversation we ought to have.
People feel entitled to our time. And if you message somebody, a Humana agent who's retiring from Humana, messaged me at 11 o'clock the other night, wanting to know what to do with her freaking retirement at 11 freaking o'clock, like in the middle of AEP.
What to do with her retirement? She should be messaging me. That's my field.
She had a Social Security question, but the thing is, you've done this for 30 years. You should know this by now, first of all. Second of all, if you want to consult me, pay me, right? Because I'm just getting so tired with, Joanna, I just got a quick question. It's never a quick question. And anytime I give you, you're taking away from my current clients, my agents, right?
Here's what I know, Joanna. Here's what I know. When you start valuing your time and demanding value for your time, you're going to lose a lot of perceived popularity. Yep. In other words, your groups, they're going to go down. But you'll be surprised how many people stick around, how many people respect your time, and the monetization for your time. So when you're ready for that conversation, let me know. I'll show you how to do it. But nobody's going to pay you for your time before you feel like you should be paid for your time.
That's the breaking point I've come to. I should have been charging for my time a long time ago. I just didn't know how to. And coming from the public sector, I really didn't know how to monetize, or I didn't know how to charge because nobody charged me when I was asking them questions. So I was trying to always just give back because people gave to me. But now it's become so blatant that people don't even say, hey, Joanna. They just say, what's this? Something I could have Googled at 10 o'clock at night. And I've answered most questions in my groups 100 times where you could have searched it. But just the blatant respect. Yeah, people text me thinking that I don't have any of my own clients or my own work or a 10-year-old I have to take care of. Like, they don't treat me like I'm a human. And it's really sad. Like, it really hurts me that I can answer your question and they'd be like, okay, thanks.
But girl, you got to own it. You've trained them. You got to retrain them and understand in the process of retraining, you're going to lose a bunch because they are professional fuckers. They're professional pieces of goddamn fucking shit. And every one of them can eat shit and fucking die. I'm saying it right now.
I want to know who messaged you and told you not to have me.
What I'm telling you is this. Those folks that can't take your transition from devaluing your time to valuing your time, they need to be gone anyways. And there's 8 billion people on the planet. I know. So like you run a women's group. How many people are in your women's group?
11,800.
11,800. Do you know how many people in the world have a vagina? Like 4 fucking billion. Yeah. Just so we're clear. Like, you're not even talking 1%. You're not even talking like 1/10 or 100th of a percent. So of your 11,000, if 1,000 were like, we don't want to plug into this anymore and take Joanna's value because that she's putting out for free because she was putting it out anyways because she won't answer my message at 11 o'clock at night. You know how bad you need to feel about that?
0.
Not at all.
It's
Because there's 4 billion vaginas on the planet who could be in that group. And it's not just about the women's group. Like, you have all your other groups, and this isn't a man-woman thing. It's just, if folks don't want to value you, fuck them, and they can eat shit and die. Go back to work for General Mills, you little pussy. Stop it.
It took me a long time to come to that exact phrase. Is I had people, Carson, message me saying, I know you're in the hospital. By the way, I was in the hospital with 2 IVs in each hand, nearly dying. Couldn't even text. But I know you're in the hospital, but I have a question. And their question was so generic. I'm like, reading it, going, what the fuck?
Those are the people you excise. I'll tell you, I've had in the last week 2 buddies who were in the hospital, not for them, but one for their kids, the other for his wife. And I'll tell you, I messaged both of them. You want to know what my messages were? Was, hey, I know you're in the hospital. I know you're getting blown up. I know all the things. I don't need anything else. All I need is if you need anything, you let me know. I'll jump on a plane. I'll DoorDash for you. Whatever you need, let me know. I don't fucking care. I'm here to help. Whatever it is. That was it. Don't even bother responding.
Yeah.
One of my buddies just had twins. They're in the hospital, which is pretty normal for having twins and whatever. I'm like, whatever you
We
need.
have the same friend, Tracy.
My other buddy is a buddy from high school who they just lost their child in the NICU. And he didn't even bother responding. I'm just like, bro, like we haven't even talked in 2 years. And I was like, bro, I heard the news and I'm heartbroken. Whatever you and your wife need, please, anything, just let me know. I need nothing from you. If you need anything, I'm here. If you don't want to respond at all, that's fine. I'm not hurt about it. But that was it. But Joanna, those are the people you want in your life.
Exactly.
Those are the people you want blowing you up at 11:30. Anything else blowing you up at 11:30 is not a respecter.
Right.
And if they're not a respecter, like, you might as well just, like, you need to get that middle finger emoji in your quick saves, like your quick emojis, and just like middle finger, just like, I don't know. People that just want to take, I'm over it.
That was the downside of the social media explosion in our industry, is because so many of us did share freely that some people took a lot of it for granted.
There's a lot of that. I haven't seen as much, and I monetize, and we monetize decently, not where I need it to be or want it to be, but decently. But like, I've seen that, but I also haven't seen the abuse. But I will say this, I got abused for my time before. So, like, we talked about the insurance hustle, and I know we're out of time, but we talked about the insurance hustle back in the day. Sean, I'm still undecided about. Dude was good to me. Dude was a fucking piece of shit. Like, through that whole time, I was a top producer for a big ass insurance company nationally. My phone was being blown up. And I feel like that's one of the areas I was fortunate. And in fact, maybe that's part of my upbringing. I was a shithead. I did a lot of dumb things. I got in a lot less trouble because my older brother was also a shithead who did a lot of dumb things. And I got to watch him get in trouble. So without getting in trouble myself, I got to learn all the ways to not get in trouble. He'd always get in trouble for coming home late. All I had to do wasn't be sneakier. It was just not come home, be home at 10 p.m. Yeah, I can do anything I want from 7 a.m. when I walk out the door in high school to 10 p.m. when I come home. I can do anything the fuck I want. Make sure I'm out the door at 7 and I check into school, and then make sure I walk in the door before 10 p.m. Like, that's easy shit, right? And so, like, maybe some of it comes from that, but it was like, I feel like I had a lot of my abuse before the social media stuff for me started blowing up more, and my stuff hasn't even blown up. Like, we're not even there yet. I feel like a lot of my stuff hasn't blown up quite as much because I'm a little bit of a dick about it. People want to abuse, and I'm like, hey, fuck you. And so I don't have this audience of takers. There's still those in there, but it's not quite as prevalent. Like some of my groups, they're like 4,000 strong, but it's 4,000 strong that 6 p.m. hits. They're not in my inbox. 9 a.m. hits the next morning, they're in there. And hey, you're back on the clock. But they're very well trained. But I got that from clear back in the day. It started way before the insurance hustle stuff.
Right.
I don't know. For you, do you feel like that was something you missed out on or just overlooked or?
The monetization?
No, just the boundary.
So I didn't know how to have them. I was so excited when I found people that spoke the same language as I did, insurance, and willing to talk and share. Because I don't know, a lot of times I would be learning sales techniques from folks like you, and I would try to reciprocate with my technical knowledge from something else, right? Like, you teach me sales, I teach you how Social Security works, Medicare works. And I thought it was a reciprocation for a while until it became take. And then people knew, especially during height of COVID, like April, June 2020, I was always working at 3 o'clock in the morning. People knew I was working at 3 o'clock in the morning. So like the time schedule was really blurry. And it's my fault. People knew that I would respond at midnight if they text me. They knew that I never slept. I had chronic insomnia, really bad insomnia. I've gotten that better now. I normally sleep 2 o'clock in the morning to 8 now. But people knew that I was always awake. And
so here's the question. What happened in your childhood or your adolescent age or whatever to where you respond at 3 a.m.? Because I get up at 4:30 a.m. Most nights I don't go to bed before 11, 12 p.m. But I do not respond. By and large, there's 5 people I will respond to. And Joanna, I love you. You're not even one of them. Like between 7 p.m. and 8, 9 a.m., there's 5 people I would respond to. What happened in your life where it was like, hey, it's 3 a.m., I'm going to respond?
I don't know. I guess the nurturing kind of feeling.
Is that a good nurturing, or is it one that's kicking your ass so bad that you won't be around to nurture tomorrow?
Yeah, it's done its toll. Yeah, you're right.
I'm saying this out of love. Girl, I love you.
I got you.
I love it to death. I'm trying to beat up on you, but...
No, it's really come about. Like, 2020 was, I mean, in the early years, it was fun. You know what I'm saying? And insurance is still fun for me, you know?
Yeah.
I could talk all day about insurance and Social Security and building businesses and LLCs and like it's my favorite subject. Like I talk about business like it's shopping. Like I don't do normal typical girl stuff. I love business. It's one of my passions. And I think people exploited that. I think that I became, and maybe not their fault, just I trained them how to treat me.
You became exploitable, so they exploited you.
Yeah. But like I said, some people, they don't even say, hey, Joanna. They just like text me like chat AI. Write me a story.
So next time you get one of those, just be like, sup, bitch. Fuck you, Mom.
So here's the problem, Carson. I can't really write stuff like that or it becomes the next insurance scandal where I'm ruined. And
why did it scandal? Why is it ruining you? Where's your money made? You're not monetizing all this other shit in anyways. How does it ruin you?
You're right. I haven't gotten paid for $1 for being on a stage either.
Okay.
Right?
So the only way it ruins you is ego or pride?
Ouch.
Ego and pride. Like I'm telling you, Joanna, because I love you to death. How does it actually ruin you? Because some stupid ass bitch says some mean shit? Fuck her. She can't even make a ham sandwich.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
There are no buts. There are no buts.
There are no buts. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. All right, so I'm gonna start getting mouthy now.
So it doesn't ruin you. It doesn't fucking ruin you.
It doesn't, because they don't pay my bills.
Perception, which your own misperception you have to own. It is what it is, but you forgive yourself for, you move forward, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't ruin you. These bitches, these freaking hoes, these dudes, it doesn't fucking matter. They don't matter.
They don't.
They don't matter. And they don't even matter in their own community. What were they going to do? Sell one Medicare policy this year? Fuck them. They're not making a difference. They're just trying to make a little extra money so they could kife it off and go buy a fucking boat they couldn't even afford. Fuck you. Not you, but them.
Some of them have big dreams in their head, but they're, like you said, they're not willing to do the work.
No, they're not. And that can't be your problem. You got to quit making it your problem. You're an empath.
An empath, yes. That's my problem.
But you can still be an empath in a productive way. So you want to talk about empath shit, and I know we got to wrap it up here, but you want to talk about empath shit. Kind of two perspectives on this. Number one, out of the tens of thousands of people begging for your time, what percentage of those are going to do a damn thing with the advice you give them?
So normally I get asked very technical questions. So normally I would say at least 50%.
Numbers would say different. Statistically, 80-20.
Okay.
But let's even say 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell the difference between the 50 and the 50?
Here's the problem I have with not answering somebody. All right, so let's say it's grandma. Let's say it's Carson's grandma who has a Social Security problem. And you say, great, my friend Joanna works at Social Security. Worked at Social Security. She probably knows what to do, right? I have trouble not answering, hey, my grandma has a question. Here's the story. My response is normally takes me maybe a couple minutes to tell grandma how to fix her life. And I have trouble because it's for my life at this point now, it's like an all day kind of thing where it's grandma after grandma, right?
So we just changed the topic though, because now you're talking about grandma trying to fix her life versus some dumbass agent that's not going to do fucking shit with fucking shit.
So they're coming to me with people's problems. My client got denied Social Security this. My client got denied this. My client didn't do their Part B. How do I fix it kind of thing? They're not asking me sales advice or how to dial advice. They're asking me technical questions about a beneficiary's problem, usually with the government.
Why are they not posting that to your groups where the community can help solve their problems?
Bingo.
And why are you not holding them to that standard? Or is it your lack of confidence in your group to step up and answer that question?
Neither. I think I just haven't said, hey, Carson, that's a great question. Go post at Medicare Mentors enough times where people aren't offended. Because one time I did tell them, and they were like, why can't you just answer me?
So now, save that in your quick text or whatever, and just start doing that. You'll be surprised how few times you actually get, and throw a little splurb in there, right? Hey, if you'll go post that, I promise I'll get around to commenting as well, but you'll get the perspective of tens or hundreds of other Medicare advisors around the country who are going to help give your client a better outcome. Go post it in the fucking group. Like you're doing them a disservice by only asking me, right? Uh-huh. Save that as a fucking message, and now you just copy paste.
You're right. 100% right. 100% right. This is like therapy for me. Thank you.
You didn't realize a 3.5 hour long podcast was going to be that, did you?
I know. It was like, who does 3-hour podcast? That's a long time.
Bro, I'm telling you, I like this A2C podcast. It is rolling, and I'll tell you when people start opening up. It's exactly when you start opening up. It's somewhere between 30 minutes and 60 minutes.
Okay.
So after the first hour, like shit all of a sudden starts getting real. And albeit in this podcast, we literally, I think the first opening sentence was like, I was at a cemetery. And I was like, oh, goddamn, Joanna.
She just jumped right into it.
Give me a freaking pack of Capri Suns or something first. Hydrate me. But I'm telling you, that's the way to go about it. If you want to talk about not just monetizing what you built and whatever, but building boundaries around it. And I'm not saying I'm the best at it. I'm saying there's not another group in our space that's built it entirely organic, monetized as well, with the boundaries we have. Like my shit is 9 to fucking 5. I don't think I have any competition in those areas, maybe a couple others. Let me know if you want to talk.
I do.
And we can
In
talk about
January.
some stuff. But it's going to require you to be thought of as a bitch by a few people. And that sucks. And I'm thought of as a dick by some people. But the folks that stay, which for me is thousands, and for you will be thousands, those folks get better. And here's why I asked earlier, a few minutes ago, we can wrap up with some of this, is out of the percentage of people, what percentage do you think are actually going to go and do something? 80, 20, 50, 50? Doesn't matter. By you giving 100% of yourself out to those 100%, you're fucking the 50% of people that were actually going to do something out of it, out of 50% of your energy, by not having a boundary, a filter, by having systems, processes, and SOP.
I'm doing way worse. I'm fucking myself out of income. I'm fucking my agents out of potential.
Yeah. So all those things, right? All those things.
Yeah.
But like it all starts with, you got to be a little bit aware of it. Holy shit. The people that weren't going to do anything, no matter how much I gave, I'm still giving to. And by giving to them, I'm taking away from my own income, which disallows me from being a better girlfriend, from being able to take care of that 10-year-old a little bit better, right? It disallows me from that other 50% or whatever percent it is, doesn't matter, from giving more to them. And they were going to go pour into their communities because I'm still fucking with these people. So who's the asshole now? It isn't them. It's you. You're not an asshole. You're an amazing person.
Thank you.
Got to set a couple things up so that you can continue to be more amazing. And at the end of the day, 8 billion people on the planet, it isn't about how many people you can answer their DMs. It's about what impact can you create by answering a single DM. That's the question you should ask yourself. And when you start asking yourself that, all of a sudden you're going to start thinking, shit, whose DM should I actually answer?
Lots of changes coming for 2024.
I'm excited for you.
I think you're going to be shocked. Maybe not.
I don't think I'll be shocked. I think I'm going to
be proud.
I think I'm going to be really happy for you.
Thank you. I'm excited for the change. I used to be afraid of the change because change is never, I used to worry about if this, then that, then what, right? Like how the domino effects. But I don't think it could get any worse right now. Like I'm tired of being tired.
People don't realize how tiring it is being at the top.
It's exhausting. And no one was here when I was sick. Nobody, a few, my agents are amazing. My little clique is amazing. The people who were sucking the life out of me were not trying to help me when I was in the hospital. One of them was actually trying to ruin my group and solicit all my agents and shit. And I caught her. But nobody really, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. The folks who are sucking the life out of you don't appreciate it. Oh, by the way, I know you're in the hospital. Oh, by the way, I know you're miscarrying a baby, but I have a question. Somebody actually did that to me 3 years ago. I was miscarrying 3 years ago this week. I was miscarrying for a whole freaking month. And I was actually at the ER. And I know you're at the ER, but I was like, what kind of lowlife are you? You can't wait for stuff, huh? Anyways.
That hurts my heart. I'm sorry for you, Joanna.
Thanks. It hurts my heart that people are just so selfish that they are so oblivious to traumas in life. I was like, I hope you never go through something like, I know you're sick, but I know you're fighting to breathe, but.
I don't think people are selfish. I think most people they really do want to expand influence outside of themselves, which makes them not selfish. I think most people are desperate. And that might hurt even more because they're out of options. So imagine for that person how they felt. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, Joanna, think about don't feel bad about that. Feel for them. But could you imagine for yourself what extent you would have to be at? Like, what depths of despair would you have to be at to send a text message that was like, hey, I know you're in the ER, but they're desperate. And that hurts my heart. I'm an empath.
I don't think those folks were desperate. I know desperation. Desperation is...
Then maybe they're a piece of the shit. God, I was trying to get all sentimental here. God.
Desperation is like, Carson is the last person on earth that would be able to help me. And he has something going on, but he'll still help me because he has the time, because it'll be a good distraction. I wasn't the last person on earth that could help them. They could have posted, like you just said 5 minutes ago,
that's fair.
To my Facebook group. Matter of fact, last week when I was dealing with the death of Corey's family, my agent said, don't text Joanna, don't tag Joanna, post it to this group and we'll help you. I have an advisory board of my top 5 agents and they protect me. And some people challenge them. They're like, who are you? They're like, we're Joanna's crew and we don't want you to bother her.
So let's talk about that as well, as far as your group's engagement with not just you, but your crew.
Yeah.
Put on the docket. We got some shit to talk about, Joanna.
I got you.
I think I can help you. I think you can help me, but I think I can help you in that regard as well. So last question. I'll let you go. We are half an hour over this fucking thing.
We talk a lot.
I think this has been one of my favorite podcasts. So this has been the longest recording I've had so far, but it's been one of my favorite.
Okay.
Last question. God forbid anything were to happen to you tonight. You lay down in bed. The cat snuggles up. Do you have a cat? Dog?
No, nothing.
Goldfish?
I gave my dog away.
Your boyfriend smothers you.
Likely story.
Just puts a pillow over your face.
I snore, so that's very likely.
That fucking asshole. Go sleep on the couch. If tonight was your last night, God forbid, I want you around for such a long time. I hope to God you outlive me by a long time. But if tonight was your last night, and this was your last documented, recorded opportunity to make a difference in this world, what message would you want to share with people?
Damn. Carson, I think, like I said earlier to you, I think people, 2 things. They should worry about living the life that they want on their terms, not their mom's terms, not their dad's terms, or society expectations of them. And then I would also I would live your life so you have something to show for it. So like when I look back on my 2023, I like to say, what did I accomplish in 2023? What did I accomplish in 2022? Instead of I just sat there and watched YouTube and Netflix and a lot of TikTok every night. I like to quantify my impact on society. I like to impact people. This goes back to my character empaths and stuff, is I know I impacted thousands of veterans. I know I impacted thousands of seniors. And hopefully I set them on a better path for life. And that I've lived a life of public service. That's been my thing. I always try to help leave people in a better situation than I find them. I'm a project builder. And so I hope that in my memory, people would say how I helped them, right? But I think that too many people are living these lives of work 30 years, 40 years, and then get 2-3 years of retirement and die. And that's not the life that they want. I know somebody who doesn't even like where they live, doesn't care for the life they have. And I'm like, why are you doing it? Why not move? If you don't like New York, move. There's so many other places to move to. Just save up money for a moving truck and move. I'm moving. I decided I don't like Georgia anymore. Now I have to take action on that, right? Because if I keep telling you I don't like George anymore, you're gonna be like, so why don't you do anything about it, Joanna? If you don't like something in your life, change it. Some things we have to work on changing. Like I understand things like illness and things that we can't always change. Like I've been trying to change my weight. It's been a battle because of my illnesses. But I'm taking Manjaro. I'm trying to change the things that I've been struggling to change. But if you don't like something, change it and stop living for everybody else. That's what I tell everybody. Because I think that for too long, I lived a life that somebody else wanted me to live. I went to school that somebody else expected me to go to. I went into the service thinking that I wasn't going to be shit if I didn't have a bachelor's degree. So I better go into the military to make somebody proud. Make somebody proud. I went into my master's to make somebody proud. Like, in my family, you ain't shit without a JD. I would live life on your own terms.
I love that. Good way to end it.
Thank you.
Good way to end it. Joanna, thank you for being here. For real.
Thank you.
You're seriously the best.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to more discussions. I look forward to hanging out with you and your wife in Scottsdale.
It's going to be a good time.
I'm looking forward to Lazy River.
We're going to party. I don't know that I'll be in the Lazy River. If I'm there, look for the fat white kid in the G-string, but I think I'm going to be a little busy setting up and taking down from the event and everything.
That's the bad part about being a host. And that's why I never want to be a conference host, is because I like to be the party.
I don't know what got into me that said, let's run these events, but oh my God, like at $250,000, $500,000 per event.
No.
It wears on me.
Yeah, I understand. I have a couple friends that do, and I was like, I take on too much. I can't take on that. I drew the line on that.
You're smart. I'm dumb. But I appreciate you being here, Joanna.
All right. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye.
We'll see you. Thanks so much for tuning into the A2C podcast today. I appreciate you joining me on this unfiltered journey into the minds of remarkable people. I hope you enjoyed the candid conversations, the authenticity, and the insights shared. Remember, this is an ad-free podcast, so your support in sharing this with others, well, it means the world to me. If you want to stay connected with me and the podcast and be the first to know about our upcoming guests and episodes, follow me, the podcast, whatever, on social media, A2C Podcast on Facebook, and we'll get our Instagram and everything else set up. At cporter389 is my own personal stuff on all platforms. Your feedback, your ideas, they're invaluable to me. Drop me a message, drop the podcast a message, share your thoughts, let me know who you'd like to hear from next. Together, we're on this mission to explore all the facts of success and life, but be candid as hell about it. So I appreciate you. Come find me, come follow me, and let's do some awesome things together. Appreciate y'all.